My goodness, this was made when John Carpenter's career was, I wouldn't say on the skids, but he had had a couple of big budget, high profile uh, bombs, right? He did, of course, The Thing, which is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, was a critical and a financial disaster that really wounded him. And he ended up making a deal with Island Alive Pictures, four-picture deal to do for low-budget horror movies. He was like, I'm going back to my roots. And I think the first of those was Prince of Darkness. And I think the second was, if I'm not mistaken, tonight's movie, They Live. Now, first of all, let me bring on my co-hosts, of course, my boy, your boy, Matt Burke. What is up, brother man?
What's up, man? How you doing? I can't wait to talk about
I know,
tonight, man. Freaking love this movie.
I know.
I just watched it again last night just to have a refresh and so many little one-liners and good to be had with this flick.
You're okay. You formaldehyde face. Yeah, man, we got fucking Roddy Piper in this. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is that there's so much to talk about this movie. I don't want to co-opt the conversation. I don't want to be just dropping like trivia and shit like that. We are going to be taking a look at a little, at some clips and stuff like that. I'll go into a little bit of like how Roddy Piper ended up in this. It was actually because John Carpenter went to WrestleMania 1. Guess who else was at WrestleMania 1?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Cheering for Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff and all the bad guys, of course. And Carpenter saw Piper and was just like, that's the guy. That's the guy for my movie. That's the guy for They Live. And then also tonight's movie, it has its origins in a comic book. And we're going to be taking a look at a lot of art. We're going to be taking a look at that original story, which was, I think, in Alien Encounters, published by Eclipse, actually. And one of the things I like to do, of course, always is I, scour the internet for movie poster art, fan art, and I'm telling you, man, you do a Google search for, like, They Live poster, it's a tsunami of cool shit. It's like actual movie posters, fan posters. We're going to be taking a look at a bunch of that stuff. But anyway, I also got to bring on my man Pops. Pops, how are you doing, brother, man?
Got one that can see.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
I watched it just a couple hours ago again, just because I had to.
Oh, dude.
Good
it
stuff.
never gets old. It never gets old.
Good stuff.
That's one of the that's one of the things that fucks me up about Carpenter. He was like a childhood hero of mine because I thought, wow, this guy, like, he's writing the movies, he's directing them, he's making the music, right? So he could put like a John Carpenter film and actually, this is back when you had the auteur theory. Now of course you have $300 million budget movies. You get like 500 cooks in the kitchen. This is back when, they still kind of believed in like, hey, let's get one really talented guy and pretty much just step back and leave him alone. Wow, man. So much to say about this one. Of course, also, got to bring on our man, ID Crisis Dave. Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Guys? Yeah, I know. Schedule's weird. Sometimes I work, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just, I'm glad I'm here. Somehow it happened.
It's all good, Brand. Man, it's all good. And of course, everybody that's in the DM group, just drop the link if you want to hop in. You're certainly welcome to. And then, of course, we've got my man, your man, the one, the only, Preston.
Oh, hey,
Mr. Sexy Acid Raider. What is going on,
fellow airhead?
When I seen this movie, I was thinking that must be the beta version of Google Glass, right? When he was putting the glasses on.
Well, it's
the beta version of drones.
I think our guest has a pair of those.
I think so too. And let's bring on our guest. That is Mr. Publishing, Pete Cimetti. What is going on, sir?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
What's up, Pete?
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Can you see the real world through those? I gotta know.
I need to have these on to see the truth.
Because the truth is
See
the
through all the
truth.
baloney.
Oh wait, well, now of course we got to spring. Preston, are you ready to double team this motherfucker? Yeah, both Preston submitted Doc Salem, which is an incredible masterpiece of a comic. To
It is.
Needed
I
editing,
enjoyed it.
actually. A lot of
yeah, I
editing.
mean everybody who reads it enjoys it, except Mr. Samedi here didn't seem to enjoy
Yeah,
it.
could use better lettering and a edit.
Yeah, that was definitely a learning experience.
Great art
This is my
though.
first comic.
Great concept too.
The hardest part.
I want to
about
see
that-
more of it,
The
but
hardest part
definitely
about that
needed better
criticism-
lettering and an edit.
The hardest part about that criticism was the straight face, straight up, just better lettering,
Better
better
lettering.
edit. No facial expression after that.
Hold the Jim
I
Shooter.
got no hate for it. Just being honest.
Well,
No,
yeah, but then
I appreciate
also,
honesty.
And Preston knows it. So, and
Oh, yeah.
he knows how much I love his art.
There's
too.
no bad blood.
Yeah.
no,
There
not
couldn't
even
be.
a little.
Yeah.
No, I've been trying to get inside your head for a little bit, just saying you're not there, and then I'm not there, and man, it's hard to find that crossroads where we're like, all right, how did you do this? How did you do that? Do you remember when you did this with the airbrush? Because I did that with the airbrush, and that didn't turn out too good. And yeah,
Yeah. I think Airbrush had the final nail.
Yeah, man.
off it.
oh,
Yeah. With
John,
Louise
talking
yeah.
about I'm pretty. I don't know
Yeah.
what he's talking about. I'm gorgeous.
I mean, look, this isn't like it's not like looking at the back of like a Rolling Stones record or something like that, right? I mean, can we all agree that the Rolling Stones is like the world's ugliest band?
oh
The
yeah.
Ramones are pretty ugly too.
Mm-hmm.
Ghetto Boys, pretty fugly,
Mm-hmm.
right? But no,
face made for
I've seen
vinyl.
I've seen
these
worse.
motherfuckers here. There's some sex. There's a little sex appeal here, you know. And then of course, Mr. Samedi turned down another book called Six Ton Gorilla by yours truly. Now,
That's
this
right.
is a book critically acclaimed.
By what critics?
Yeah,
Mike
but just don't say the
Barron
last issue.
called it majestic, but evidently it wasn't majestic enough for Mr. Smith.
Well, nobody likes gorillas anyway.
I know.
Majestic. That's a weird way to describe a book. Majestic.
Majestic.
Or hairy beast.
But yeah,
That's like how you
uh,
describe a
Majestic hairy
horse.
beast.
I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
oh my god.
I'm just
But
saying,
yeah,
I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, Pete picks tonight's movie, and because we usually like to let the guests pick the film. Mr. Samedi, would you like to tell us why did you pick John Carpenter's They Live?
Oh, I love They Live. And plus, They Live was the movie that I'd already seen it about a dozen times, and then it was on at one point, and we were looking to recast a role in the chair that Eric Roberts couldn't meet his obligations for it, or scheduling conflicts. And so I'm thinking, well, why not Roddy Piper? Let's reach out to him. He'd do a good job in this role. And so I reached out to his agent, and his agent got him the script, and he really loved it, and he
Wow.
signed on. And we had a nice, quick, fast friendship for about 2 years before he unfortunately passed away. But Roddy was a great dude, and it was just a pleasure getting to know him over that time. And the stories that he'd have about They Live, and the notebook that he had with all his one-liners that he didn't get to use for WWF promos, and like that line about kicking ass and chewing
Is that where they
bubblegum, that
came
was
from?
that was an unused WWF promo line.
Jeez.
Oh man.
One of the greatest lines
Okay, well, we
ever.
can't really call it an ad lib technically.
Ever, dude.
If it's from
Absolutely.
a notebook, but yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about how he'd bring up the notebook to Carpenter. Like every day he'd come up with new lines too, and he'd have all old lines that he was reusing and re-editing and whatever. And he'd be bringing it up to Carpenter all the time. And he's like, sometimes he's like, "What are you doing? Get away from me!" And then there's a couple times though that he's like, "Well, what about this?" And he's like, I always kept trying to sell him on certain things just because I knew he'd say yes when something was good, and he'd say no when it was bad. But I wanted to give him that option. And for a couple of those lines, that being one of them, he had agreed that had a ring to it. So it's interesting. I mean, a lot of Carpenter's films, like you pointed out at that point in time, they were flops and not really well received, but man, they became cult classics, iconic films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
That's the thing
John's.
that fucks me up the most.
I like that
about
John's
Carpenter.
films are based on westerns. Like it's always like a, you know what I'm saying? Even They Live.
Yeah,
like
westerns,
Roddy
yeah.
Piper was like, he reminded me of Clint Eastwood in some of those old spaghetti westerns.
Well,
Yeah.
like to make the comparison to like a music or a song, when somebody asks you, do you want a hit or do you want an anthem? Do you want a hit or do you want something that's going to be there forever? And
Yeah.
I don't. When you said that, the thing was a critical and financial flop. I'm like, how?
Blade
How?
Runner
Yeah,
at the same time.
was.
Those two movies came out at the same
Yeah.
time, and those
Yeah.
were both disasters.
I remember seeing Lights, Camera, Action on Nickelodeon, hosted by Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
And they talked about the thing. It was like, and it was all the good shots and all of the, and when he had said to, was it Rick Baker or Rob Bottin was the special
Bottin,
effects guy.
yeah.
Rob, is that how you say Bottin?
Yeah,
And he-
yeah.
and
He
he-
actually ended up in the hospital working on that movie. Like, he
Really?
was living on RC Cola and chocolate.
Well, that's
Yeah,
not-
that'll do it.
That'll do it, yeah.
like a-
Right. Do it.
And ended up in the hospital. I actually have the issue of Cinema Fantastique in like mint condition, the original issue that I bought when it first came out. That has, it's just a big. It's basically like the making of the thing,
yeah.
and it's got, of course, big interview with Rob Bottin, but it has a lot of storyboard and concept art by my favorite comic book artist, and that's Mike Plug.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you can get your hands on a copy of that, I don't know how much they're selling for these days, but that is the bomb. It's like, if you're a
Well,
fan
like
of the thing, you
Well,
have to.
one of the lines, one of the things that Carpenter had said to the special effects guys was, once they understood the concept of the film was, I want you to do whatever you have hiding under your bed. Could you imagine being the special effects guy on a film by John Carpenter and you get to do whatever you want? Because
Yeah,
the concept
well, that's
of
because
the
he's a smart
concept of the bad
guy.
guy is so random. And on
Well, I mean-
something like this is, I think They Live is one of those movies. It's not unlike a Demolition Man, where when you really look at it, it's one of those films that predicts the future accurately.
Well, if
Not
you want
like
the
a
best,
kind of gimmick or something,
That's
but
because it
if you want an
accurately
artist's
captures
best
the present.
work, or if you want an artist's best work, you tell him to do what he does best, and don't let
oh
him,
yeah, without a
don't
doubt.
put any chains on him. And that's,
Yeah.
you're going to get it.
I
Yeah.
keep trying to tell my customers that, but they've got to pick up that remote control. You know the remote control, right?
No, I got to have a hand in
Yeah.
it.
I want you got this dumb idea.
That way
right
I can
now.
say,
Or
like,
Shadowhawk.
that part was about me.
Well, that's the thing with somebody like with like when I'm working with an artist like Preston, it's just like, well, what do? You let him Preston out.
Well,
you
yeah.
let
Well,
him
once you
live.
see the portfolio and you see what he's done in the past, then it's easy. There's a lot of the portfolio is supposed to build up trust.
You give them the script and then leave the artist the fuck alone.
That's your application, is your portfolio.
Yeah.
That's your degree, your application, and everything right
Yeah, and unless of course there's maybe a little mistake here or something like that, like
Well, those
that
aren't
comic
mistakes.
Maxi
That's called
Gallows.
character.
there. Yeah, no, there's mistakes.
Well, we don't talk about those.
Well, like for instance, there's a comic that I'm doing with Adam Loss with Blood Moon Stomp. That's like the wrestler versus the wrestler meets the Shining, basically, right? And I, drew in. I wrote in a scene where it's like an extreme wrestling match, and there's like a garbage can full of those fluorescent light tubes, right? Which wrestlers would use to smash over each other's heads. And Maxie drew little round light bulbs, a garbage can full of those, and I was just like, no, it's got to be. Let's say those are the wrong kind of bulbs. But that's it. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you just get a great artist like that. You just let them
Also,
run.
sometimes what you guys don't realize is that the artist can be too close to the work, and he doesn't see certain things. Like when I was doing that cover for It Came Out on a Wednesday, Pete seen that the art was unbalanced. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, hey, he's right. You know, I got to pull that chick on out of there.
Oh yeah, like, when you spend too much time, you haven't walked away and refreshed your eyes,
Yeah.
and when you come back, I there's times that I hate that moment because you have to be honest with yourself and be like, oh no, I was on this thing for like 15 or 20 minutes too long, and then I walked away and I came back, and the real world just doesn't fit with what I'm doing here, and I gotta make changes.
Yeah,
Well, I think
there's
that's the
a
market-
point in every piece where you can just kill it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
hit
so
that
it gets
point, and then
overworked.
you keep, and it's a tortured drawing, whatever it may be, writing. But yeah, there's always a
It's like that
point.
too.
Well,
You
there's
can-
also
you can do too much rewriting, and
Yep.
you have to
There's
stop.
that's
at the
also the
point where
mark
you're
of a
like, you know what, I think I'm
professional.
hurting this at this point.
is not
Yeah,
to
knowing when to stop.
is not
Oh,
to
yeah.
be able to,
Yeah,
is
no
not
friend.
to take that personal when somebody does tell you.
Well, I've always said
No,
that
never.
a professional,
You know?
a professional makes it look like you did it right the first time, not that you did it right the first time.
Yeah, and you don't work with whiny little bitches. You work with people where they're just like, when they're
Pops
just about, it's not about
automatically
their
gets
ego,
animated.
right? And or
The
dick
show is
measuring
not
or
made
any
for
shit like
kids.
that. It's just about, well, what's best for the comic, you know? Like I always say, the one thing you don't want to hear from your collaborator when you're a comic book creator is my idea is better because it's my idea.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to work with that guy, right? Because
I
it's
can't
just
tell who
all
Brian
about
is talking to
whatever
right
is
now.
the most kick-ass. Because the reader don't give a
Well,
fuck.
Brian says that all the time.
They do.
No,
They do
because
give
it's
a-
true. You know? And because I see people doing it, and I'm just like, oh, you just like, oh, you clowns.
No,
You know?
it has to be a white background with pastel yellow letters. Of course,
You know,
everyone
I
will
mean,
be able to read that.
Pete, I don't know if you have this experience, but when you get your art from your artist, don't you then get inspired by the art and then maybe go in and tinker with the text and the dialogue a little bit? Do you take inspiration?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I give the script for King Cryptid to the artist, I just give them the scene description for the most part. 90% of the script is just scene description, like I'm telling them a story, and then they go with it, and then they make the art, and then I go in afterwards, and I already have the script in my head of what I'm going to write, and then I'll either add or subtract to that based on how the art is flowing, or I'll take out certain things completely because the art is already there. There's no need
Yeah.
to crowd it or add to it because the art's
Yep.
already doing the job of the story.
Yep.
But yet there's a lot of cases where I've seen it over the years, not just working with other creators, but even just seeing creative teams and how they work, where if you give certain artists a script with all the direction and the captions and the dialogue and the panel description and the camera angles, and you really kind of give everything to a T, and you just give detailed descriptions for everything, the artist actually ends up really scaling back on their creativity, and it hurts the comic because they want to fit everything in there. They want to please the person who's writing it and hiring them. And then the storytelling suffers. It could be a way more dynamic comic. It could be a way more visually interesting comic if the artist had a script that was a bit more flexible and something that could make them imagine what the scene's going to be like. And then as the writer, just go in there and make sure you're looking at the thumbnails, you're looking at the pencils, you're looking at the inks. This way you can catch anything that maybe needs to be tweaked. Don't just let them go straight to final and then go, oh yeah, half of that page needs to get, redone. I'm sure artists
they
love to
love
hear
when you do
that,
that.
Yeah. So it's better to catch it at every single stage if something needs to be
Yeah.
tweaked or adjusted. And it does admittedly take people who know what they're doing, though. You can't have an amateur artist go in there and do that, and you can't have an amateur writer go in and do that. You got to have people who have a good feel for what's being presented in the story and being aware, like what you said, that everything is supposed to benefit and make the best story possible. It's not about ego.
And also,
No, make it
I
no
want to
fun.
point out that Pete's also an artist, writer, and he's also an editor because
Yes.
he
And he's
runs
got some
Alternative.
experience at this.
So-
He's got some experience.
A little
Yeah, it
bit.
sure does.
Experience.
It sure does.
But yeah, that's why I love
Yeah, like
lettering
a John
my own
Carpenter.
stuff too, because I'm able to go in there and rearrange and retroscript in a way, and it's fun. But yeah, you're right. I get inspired by the art that comes back, and I'm like, man, that's even better than I could have imagined
know.
it being. And then
That's
I
the
can
best.
build on that.
So do you find that when you're in control of all the aspects of the work that your writing takes more of more of a basic skeleton approach when you're doing it for yourself versus when you're doing it for somebody else, because you know you're going to be getting in there in the panels, in the word balloons, and you know that things are going to get more specific there. So you spend less time on the script for yourself.
Oh yeah. I think it's the equivalent to when an artist is going to be the one that's inking or coloring,
Yeah.
where they don't spend a lot of time honing down on pencils or whatever it may be. Sometime they'll go straight to that process and just very loosely work and have a framework. I think it's the same thing with writing too.
Yeah.
When you know you're going to end up doing your own stuff later on and kind of lettering it or being able to, it's your own story, so you're being able to have more control over what the outcome is.
Right. Yeah, and so you just leave room because you know those nuances are going to get tweaked out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Well,
that's
also,
what I'm
you
finding.
know, it's like Pete likes to work in what is, normally referred to, I guess, as Marvel style,
Marvel method. Yeah.
right? I work full script, but when I give the script to the artist, I tell them, treat it Marvel style. That is to say, if I've got, a certain panel arrangement or something like that, and you're just like, nah, I got a better way of doing that, do that.
Just let them know that they have elbow room.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's super important. That's super important. You don't want to. I mean, I look at like some of the scripts from Alan Moore,
Mhm.
and it's just like his scripts are
Oh, those are
because-
novellas.
Yeah.
because he's just going into so
Scriptures.
much detail.
Dude, I only have like a handful of them, but my favorite comic books that I own are all they're all rough cuts. Where it's all pencils. You can see the whole page. They shrink it down a little bit so you can see the edges,
Yeah.
and then the script is in the back, so you can see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
communication
yeah.
and see how things are worked out
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
educational
those are
purposes
fantastic.
and stuff. But mostly, the artwork that I have on my computer desktop, that just kind of like rotates through, is all pencils. If somebody mentions an artist that I haven't heard of before, because I got it when I moved out of my house as a kid. I got away from it and then got back into it. So there was a lot of names floating around there. So I'll plug one of them in and just look for that artist and their pencils. When I see something cool, it goes into the rotation. And it just there's something about uninked pencils that it's like you're getting into the primordial ooze of their creative brain.
Whenever I always tell Preston this. Like whenever I get pencils from him, it's just like they're so beautiful. I'm like, can we just print it like this? It's like I don't want to see this shit.
Yeah, was it Sojourner? Was that the
Like,
comic
this
book
is-
that they didn't ink anything? It just went from pencils to color.
Dale Keown, like the last 10 issues of Pitt were just pencils.
Yeah,
There was no-
his
that's how we're doing
pencils
Six
are.
Gun.
And-
That's.
But
that's
he
how
marked
did it.
himself as the inker on the book. But if you look, you can see like pencil shading. Like there's no ink in there.
That's
And,
pretty based.
And
Did
I
he
always
just
Yeah,
up
well,
the
I mean,
levels?
like-
Is that what he did? Just darken the pencils?
Yeah, he just darkened the pencils, and I always suspected it. And I was like, finally, I asked him, I was like,
Yeah.
Dale, is that like, did you pencil it, and not ink it? And he's like, absolutely.
That's what Preston's doing. That's what he did for issue 8 of
Yeah,
Six
looks
Gun,
dope.
and it looked beautiful. And I was just like,
Nice and gritty.
yeah, man, yeah. So, do you want to take a look at your campaign page for the current King Cryptid?
Yeah, sure, we could do that.
And then we'll get into the movie.
Yeah.
Pops, do you have that link by any chance?
It's
Or if
on
you wanna
either,
drop that-
you can either do the Indiegogo one that's just kingcryptid.com, or you can do the Alterna one, which is alternacomics.com/kingcryptid. So either one will take you to something you can back. But we're kind of splitting the campaign between Indiegogo and the Alterna site.
How about I pull up the Indiegogo right now?
Sure.
Not that I care about Indiegogo, but it just happened to be the
fucking
one that was at the top of the list when I
Yeah,
typed it
That's
in.
fine. The only difference
Yeah.
on the Alterna one is that if you want, you could purchase advertising on there. That's it. Everything else is the same.
I had one question, Pete. I've never looked at your website when I order, but do you offer bagging and boarding?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I never looked. I'm gonna have to make sure I do that next time because I'm not the guy who has a couple of extra bags and boards laying around. Everything pretty much comes bagged and boarded in the indie world. And when I order a multitude of books from you, I didn't know I could get them individually bagged and boarded. Thank you for that. Now you make
Yeah.
it.
All right. Let me.
Things you need to know, right? Things you need to know.
Oh,
Absolutely.
for sure. And hold on, let me close this thing right here. And,
There is no video.
Oh, there we go.
No video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
32-page sampler right there. You can download a 32-page sampler. Right.
Yeah, you could check out all the covers from issues 1 to 9, and then there's a 5-page preview for issues 1 to 4, and then a 1-page preview for issues 5 to 9. So yeah, you get to check out the tone and the feel, and these are completed pages too. And digitally, we put kind of like a virtual newsprint layer on it to mimic the printed version.
Oh, it's
So yeah, so this
So-
way it doesn't have that glaring bright white kind of digital thing going on. It's got more of that grainy, that newsprint vibe to it. It's literally like a scanned newsprint and then superimposed, and we just digital overlay it.
You got a feature tier over here, $100. The King Cryptid Collection. It looks like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff. So T-shirt,
T-shirt looks badass.
box, to collect them in, everything, man.
Yeah,
Right?
you get the glow in the dark T-shirt. The art there is by Nick Hunter, who also does art on issues 2, 5, and 7, and you get issues 5 to 9. Every issue of King Cryptid also has a cover on the front and the back, so if you flip it over, it's like you're getting 2 covers for the price of 1 comic. And then we've got a collector box, which is the second collector box in the series. We got a trading card binder, and then you get 5 trading card packs as well. And in the trading card packs, we got a bunch of bonus insert cards, one of them being sketch cards from a bunch of artists, Preston Azevedo included.
Preston who?
Yeah,
Preston
so
is-
Sketch cards are the shit, man. I love those.
yeah, so 1 out of 50 packs, about 700 packs have sold so far. So we're gonna have whatever that comes out to. I can't do the math right now, but 1 out of 50 packs is a sketch card inserted. So every 50 packs is one of those. So there were people who got 30 packs last year, unfortunately didn't pull a sketch card, and then there were people who got 5 packs and then they pulled a
Got
sketch
2.
card. So you never know. Yeah, you could potentially get 2. It's a random assortment.
You can build your own bundle. You can get access to all the add-ons. Pete's got all kinds of stuff, guys. I mean,
Yeah, and the dollar goes
shit.
right back into shipping, so you're not paying $1. It goes right back into it.
King
then-
Cryptid Digitals. Yes.
Yeah, the digital bundle, it's $5. You get the 5 issues, issues 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, and this is just a fun book, folks. I haven't read these issues. I haven't backed this campaign yet, but I read issues 1 through 4, and I just found them really great, old school fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. It's an ongoing episodic series, so it is like old school comics where you get a complete story in every issue, but all of the issues have a connecting continuity. So things matter. You don't have, a short-term memory loss here where something happens in an issue and then it feels like it
It's
didn't make any
retro.
impact. Yeah.
No retro.
Everything makes an impact on the series. It's just the issues are standalone in terms of story, but not standalone in terms of continuity. It's very similar to things like, and I was really inspired storytelling wise, obviously by the comics from the 70s and 80s and how they told stories, but also from animated shows like Batman, the animated series, Thundercats, that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm
So
gonna.
it's like you could drop
Yeah,
in.
there's a thread that's going between all of the stories, but there's also the beginning and the end issue per issue.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But they're
And,
also-
and a lot of issues have that where it's like a last page will kick off a storyline that will continue either in the next issue or an issue down the line. But yeah, to me that was important because a lot of the time with comics they treat it as if every jumping on point is a jumping off point, but that's so wrong because every issue is a jumping off point. But
Yeah.
Well,
not
there's two
every
different kinds
issue.
of readers too. I mean, you have people who watch episodic television and they're good with the beginning and the end, and every once in a while you get a to be continued. And then there's
Yeah.
the people who watch soap operas.
Yeah.
There's literally 2 different mentalities to, I want to follow this story, don't let it end yet, versus I'm good with these little vignettes of.
Yeah, and this is kind of a merging of both. It's because there's a soap opera type feel to it, only because there's that overarching plot,
Yeah,
and there's a couple of subplots built in. But every single issue, you're never gonna feel lost. It could be issue 30, it could be issue 1, it could be issue 70.
You know
You
what
get
got
in
my-
there and you'll enjoy the story. And we'll have editor's notes. We already have editor's notes on one of the issues. And then you can go back and check out a previous issue in case you're seeing something in there and you want to learn more about what it is that they're talking about to give you further context.
I can
but
tell
that's
you
the fun
what
of
caught
it.
my attention about this. It was the fan art. It was all the different people drawing your character, dude.
That's a pretty
seeing
bitching
it
character.
all over Twitter. It was like,
Yeah.
damn, it was like everybody was doing it.
That's the fun aspect with the series too. Is we treat King Cryptid as a real cryptid, and even the name King Cryptid, it's a descriptive name. It's not. It's like Bigfoot, like Mothman. It's not something where he's the king of the cryptids. What it is his silhouette. The look of him looks like he's a king.
Crap.
Cryptid.
Superman.
Yeah, and the thing is that his origin story, if we go back 500 or so years ago when he was originally cursed and betrayed, because this dude was a human a while ago, he was given that title of King Cryptid as a mocking title. So it kind of stuck, though, in legend, and it's meant different things to different people. Most of the story, at least early on, takes place within the New England region, as you could see here with this map, in real
I love
locations.
how you do this
I
too.
know,
How you,
that's so old school right there.
Yeah.
yeah, I love how you
So
set
old
it up.
school
This
Marvel.
happened here. This happened here. This happened here.
Yeah, like Bigfoot sightings. Yeah.
Exactly,
like-
yeah.
It looks like my people to
Beautiful.
kill list.
Well, it's kind of like like the old Defenders comics. If the Hulk would go on a rampage,
Next time we
see
do
a
this
map of
free
his
present, gonna have
rampage.
blood on one of those guitars in the background.
Yeah,
Now all we need is a map with little round pins. Ding, ding,
The
ding.
string.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
Yeah,
thing
I-
is that we're going to get outside of the New England area eventually, and not too far off in the future. And we get to the rest of the country, we get to different parts of the world, and then we eventually have issues that are off-world. So
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of stuff with King Cryptid. There's cryptids, of course, but there's monsters, creatures, there's vampires, there's folklore from all kinds of regions of the earth, and then there's also extraterrestrials involved. There's extraterrestrials involved in issue 8. There's Zeta Reticulans. So we see them for just a little bit, but then they come back, and there's more of the story with them in issue 11 on next year. But we have all kinds of stuff here. There's alien races involved. There's government cover-ups. There's secret organizations and secret societies. There's a lot of levels to the story of King Cryptid, and it's not just about the world building or the character building, but it's also about various things that are occurring. Each issue is thematic in a sort of way where some issues feel more sci-fi, some issues feel more horror, some issues have a more mystery tone to them, some issues are more philosophical and existential. And there's flashback issues that take place too because of the fact that King Cryptid is about 500 or so years old. So there's all kinds of different things to explore.
Yeah, you
and
can go way back into the past and do
yeah. Yeah, I'm not handcuffing the story in any sort of way in terms of we have to tell it in a super linear fashion. But when we do have flashback issues, they tie into what's presently happening. So it doesn't feel like it's just randomly one day we're 300 years ago. It'll be triggered by some event that's currently happening, a memory that's being triggered by it, or something that's caught up. And now we're seeing the events kind of rhyme or even repeat. And that this has happened before, and then we go back and we take a look at what has occurred.
How many different artists
Right.
you have working just within the sampler in these 34 pages? I see a variety of stuff, and I especially like how the kids, when you have the kids in the book, it looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's something
yeah,
that's
I really
really
like
fun
that
too.
issue Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing a movie right now?
Everybody
Because
read
this,
it.
I'm enjoying this book.
It's really good. It's
But
really
yeah.
good. Like I was telling people before, it's like if I don't like somebody's stuff, I just don't say anything about it, right? But if it's dope, I'll tell you it's
Yeah.
dope, and this is dope, everybody, and you should go check it out. And the fact that he offers a 32-page sampler, What does that tell you? That tells you that this is a man who has confidence
I was
in
just
his
gonna say that.
product.
Yeah. It's,
Oh yeah. And next year it'll be what
Well,
is
the
that?
first
We'll
one's
have
for
another
free, Brian.
5. We'll have
Yup,
another
that's what I
5
was gonna
issue
say.
preview for we'll have 5 issue previews for issues 5 to 9 on next year's sampler with 1 issue. So it's every sampler every year is going to get bigger and bigger because we're doing 4 to
that's
5
nice.
issues on every campaign. So that's the fun of this too, is that it continues to grow, and that's what I think made comics so much fun as well. You see the adventures of a character and the world around them and how that unfolds, and you see all these different things play out, as opposed to it being purely plot driven and being like a graphic novel or a film where maybe we never see those characters again. Maybe that's it for the story. And I love those things too, but with this series, I really wanted to get back to every single thing I loved about comics, about the supernatural, about I was interested in this kind of stuff even as a kid. I'd be taking out like Time Life books from the library when I'm a little
Yeah,
kid.
me
and,
too.
yeah, looking at like the pyramids
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Bermuda Triangle and Bigfoot and everything else, all that stuff was so unbelievably interesting to me, and it still is. And this is just merging every single thing I've loved about everything. This is like me in a book, and the artists involved. It's been an unbelievable experience working with them. Christian Rossi, Nick Hunter, Alex Jovich, Kier Covington. We got Frankie B. Washington on issue 6, and then the other guys come back as well for issues 5 to 9. It's rare though that you see a King Cryptid issue where an artist is used 2 issues back to back. That's going to be a rare thing that occurs. But the reason, again, being for that is because some artists are really good with certain kinds of storytelling styles, and others are better at certain kinds of expressive looks. So Alex Jovich, who does the issue 3 and 8 with the kids, he's great drawing
Yeah.
kids. There's a lot
He
of
is.
yeah, that's the one I
unbelievably
was
yeah,
Oh, that is-
very. It leaves a big impression.
yeah, he's great with that animated expressive style. He did the art on Mr. Crypt at Alterna.
He'd
He's
have
doing
been
the
good
art
on Power
currently on
Pack
Unit 44.
back
Yeah, he would have been totally good on that, man. But the thing is, there's tons of great artists, but when they draw little kids, they are frightening. They draw like
I know.
these little
I know,
like mutant tiny adults.
I feel
They
like
have
I'm a
right,
really
the
good
world
artist.
weary, they
I've
got
made money
wrinkles.
doing art, and I've got to do this little kid, and I'm on the computer looking up why can't I draw kids?
Yeah, yeah.
Just don't get on a computer and look up kids because
Well, no, well, like for real though, like Pinterest has a ton of great like references on stuff like that, and it's one of those things you don't realize what you're doing wrong because that some of those solutions are so easy. It's just like it's a matter of proportion. And
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of the you spend so much time doing muscles and and these physiques and science fiction stuff, and then you got to do something that you haven't been, for 40 years.
Giving kids all kinds of
Kids didn't look like kids to
wrinkles
me when
and
I was a kid.
lines and dark eyeshadow,
Right.
and it's just so then the kid just looks like a tiny creepy adult.
No, that part of the sampler looks really good. In fact, I
know, it's a
had to
bit
get the catch
disturbing.
up tier.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, the catch up tier, you get issues 1 to 9, $25. You get over 200 pages of story for the $25.
That's a really, really good bargain. I don't know how you do this.
I know.
Like
Well, newsprint.
Are you still eating ramen?
Blood, sweat, and tears, man. Yeah. What's ramen? I just eat blood, sweat, and tears.
I was gonna say I was gonna go for ramen blood
That's too rich for my blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I can afford to do this by not eating ramen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
there's the issue.
So Pete Samedi's down at the soup kitchen drawing comic books.
No, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
even.
he's doing
Not
all right.
even. That wastes time. You got to get down there. You got to stand in line.
IV drip.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
I just collect
An
rainwater
IV drip
outside.
full of blood, sweat, and tears.
So here's issue
everybody-
8. Issue 8 connects exactly right up with the end of issue 3. And issue 3, we mentioned at the end of it that the storyline continues in issue 8. And the thing that occurs here, the stories occurring concurrently with other stories, and some of them are occurring slightly before and slightly after, but they never feel that way. And the timeline is only something that specifically matters when it's mentioned. But on issue 3, we got a flashback to 84, and it's a result of someone's working late night doing filing away of various photos in the area. They work at the White Mountain Mount Washington Observatory, and he's filing away various things, files away and sees this footprint that looks just like the King Cryptid footprint that him and his friends took back in 84. And King Cryptid in this world has not been cited publicly in over 30 years. No one has seen King Cryptid since the early 90s. And now King Cryptid is starting to come back again. And the reason for that being is that he was around in a big way, but felt like he wasn't really doing a whole lot of good because the world was still turning to crap and that there was still a lot of bad things going on. And he felt like, you know what, I'm going to scale back. I'm going to take care of my region, and that's going to be about it. I'm not really going to be in the public world anymore. And I'm not going to.
I like it.
Yeah. So about a generation and a half has passed, and people are thinking, oh, maybe he never really existed whatsoever. We haven't really seen this guy. He hasn't been talked about. But he's seeing now that there's a lot of stuff going on right under his nose. The convergence of both black budget science and dark magic. And he's not entirely aware of this at this point just yet. By the end of issue 9, he will be aware that there's something very purposeful going on. But what he's seeing for the most part is stuff that's happening that is coming. It's too much too soon. There's too many weird things happening.
Don't make me spend that money and then spoil it for me, Pete.
Well, I'm not spoiling anything. That's the funny part, is that every issue is so jam-packed with story.
With a feather is what he's doing.
Yeah, every issue is so jam-packed with story. There's people that thought I was spoiling a lot, and I'm like, no, I'm just painting a picture for you.
Well, yeah,
and then you guys are going to go in there and you zoom in on the picture and go, wow, there's so much.
There's so much in there that you can't say too much.
No, and I'm not spoiling anything in terms of giving away pivotal plot moments either, because there's a lot of those. Every issue's got little Easter eggs. We got breadcrumbs that paint pictures for other issues to come, and also previous events that have occurred, and things that with certain other side characters too. There's only a couple of issues, 4 issues out right now, but there's a bunch of different things that are in those 4 issues, and only I think 2 people so far have caught on to some of the plot lines that are being hinted at, and some of the weird little Easter eggs that are in the art and in the story itself that hint at certain things. It's interesting. But so that's what I love about it too. It's one of those things where people can then reference certain things later on in the future and go, "Oh man, they were calling that out for like 10 issues." And that's, I think, part of the fun of stories like this. But yeah, so anyway, to go back to the flashback part, it goes back to 84. These kids are out in the woods, and they come across King Cryptid. Later on in 87, they haven't seen King Cryptid in 3 years, but King Cryptid has been keeping an eye on the kids because he knows that there's other people that are keeping an eye on them too, and other people that mean them harm. So in 87, it's Halloween night, and that's what happens in issue 8. And something happens to one of the kids in particular that really puts all of these kids, it sends them on completely different paths in life, and it's a horrible event that occurs. And King Cryptid is basically, he's there, but he's not there. And what I mean by that is, in those issues, King Cryptid is not necessarily the star. He's kind of a background figure, and he's kind of someone who is around, and we'll see him around. Like in issue 3, he's only in 1 or 2 pages. But most of it's about the kids. And then we see later on them as adults, and they play a big part in the overall series. So it's not just them as kids or just having a flashback issue or whatever. They all have pivotal parts to play.
Yeah, he's merely an
I like what you did with that issue too. It was really cool.
What this book reminded me a lot of were comics that were some of my favorites when I was a kid. Swamp Thing, Man Thing, right? Like in the case of Man Thing, you had a lead character, that was literally mindless, right? So the story had to be about other people and their reactions to this creature. Now, King Cryptid, of course, is very much a character, is very far from mindless. But I love the way that you jump around and tonally from issue to issue, where I feel like, oh, this kind of feels like a Marvel story, like a Hulk story. This one feels more like a Swamp Thing.
DC.
Man Thing.
Yeah.
Different points of view.
Yeah, there's a mystique around King Cryptid where, for like the issue with the kids, he just grunts at one of the kids. Like that's all he says to him. But King Cryptid is extremely intelligent.
Kind of like how I raise my kids.
Yeah, but he just needs to kind of loom over and be like,
Socks, pick up socks.
but he knows that it's like he's not gonna just sit there and have a deep conversation with these kids. The moment doesn't call for it. So it's one of those things
Right.
where, depending upon the situation, depending upon the moment, he'll use his intelligence, or he'll use his brute force strength, or he'll use some of his supernatural powers if he's able to. Because that's the other part too, is on the night of a full moon, his supernatural powers are augmented. On the night of a new moon, he's got a cosmic moonstone that's basically like a lunar cell, and it's absorbing the energy, the moonbeams. So when there's intense cloud coverage or it's a new moon, he's not getting recharged. So the more that he expends his energy, the less likely he's going to be able to use any of his supernatural powers. So on the night of a new moon, which is issue 2, issue 1's a full moon, issue 2's a new moon. So we get people acclimated right away with what he's capable of.
Yeah. I loved how you did that, because of course it's just like, well, gee, Superman needs to have his kryptonite. Right?
Yeah, you can't have an overpowered character. You can't have a character that doesn't seem to have a weakness and is never really in danger.
Yeah,
And King Cryptid's in a ton of danger all the time. And sometimes he's not even aware of how much danger he's in and how much danger he's actually putting others in. And we get to
Oh
some of
God,
that
the issue
too.
where he's
Isn't
just
that
like,
also
well,
like
I need to chill. I need to go someplace safe, and
Yeah.
he goes to like the worst possible place he could go. Although he doesn't know that that's the case when he goes into that cave.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's great, is we're going to see characters like the Granite Beast return in issue 6. We're going to see the Granite Beast, and then we're going to see eventually we're going to see the Behemoth come back, and that's going to be a real fun issue as well. And we even see a character from issue 4. We see Brug. We see him a lot more, and he's actually in Hockomock Swamp, which is a real swamp in Massachusetts. And it's funny because when I created Brug, I created just a swamp monster, and I wanted to base him in the New England area. And I'm thinking, how the hell do I do that? How many swamps do we really have? And
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you for a second. That's a real rock formation.
yeah, that was a real.
I've seen that thing.
Yeah, the Old Man of the Mountain. It doesn't look
That's-
like that anymore. The face kind of fell
I know.
about 15 years ago. But
Oh,
yeah,
no,
for the
no,
longest
that
time.
sucks.
I know.
Yeah, and this issue is a flashback issue. Again, we started off anyways a flashback in the early 90s, and we see King Cryptid at an existential crisis moment. He's kind of having his It's a Wonderful Life moment, and he's talking to his mentor, the Old Man of the Mountain, who's thousands and thousands of years old. This guy's been around. He's seen humanity, pretty much civilization, rise before him. So he, at this point, understands King Cryptid's kind of situation here, but at the same time, he knows that only King Cryptid can walk his path. He can't tell him what to do. He needs to figure this out on his own. But we explain in this issue even what happened with the old man's face. So we kind of have a little bit of a historical fiction element too that plays out. But
It
yeah.
reminds me of Kirby's Where Monsters Dwell, like that series. That was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. Those were great.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I love them.
The other time
Yeah,
you were on the
but-
show, Pete, too, you were talking about some of your artistic inspiration is the scary stories to tell in the dark books, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
that artist, man, I forgot his name. I know Alvin Schwartz wrote it, but
I want to say Stephen Gamble.
That's
One of
those
sounds right.
books
Yeah, I
kind
want
of
to
felt
say
like
that's
those
the
books
artist.
too.
Didn't they come
Yeah.
out with like new editions that don't have that art?
Yeah,
That's
they
just
do.
like-
They have a new one out right now. I seen it at Barnes and Noble last week. I was gonna pick up the trilogy,
Preston,
but
holy shit, man, this is an awesome
this book,
piece.
man, it also makes me feel of like that the actual writing in that. I was getting vibes from that too as well. Actual like the little short stories and whatnot, and they're kind of spooky, you know.
Yeah, it's a really
Yeah,
well
all
written book. It's a really well illustrated
Yeah.
book. Everybody go check this out. Pops, do you do me a solid and just scroll up a little bit so we can check out the hell is
Yeah,
that?
Preston on the
Preston's
back
cover,
cover
man,
of
is-
issue
yeah.
6.
Is that you
That one
printed
was
it
a
like
fun
that?
Yeah.
it is.
We're gonna
Oh,
print it
that's
like
the
that.
shit,
I
man. That is
regret selling.
exactly. I love
That's one
that.
of 'em.
I know. Like I said, it's Preston going full Preston.
I don't want to go like off on a tangent. I just want to ask, like, what kind of reference material do you keep around, Preston? I mean, you don't like have a stack of like,
No, but I keep a
Well,
mark
Wally-
folder on my computer just so that I can reference like monsters or bodybuilders. Different
I was gonna
things
say
like that, you know?
that's what I was looking for. Yeah, I
I
kind of
stopped guessing I stopped guessing on muscle structure like a long time ago. It's too much to keep in your head. You know?
For the basics, I think
mechanics.
it works out okay. Like, like the arm is stretched out versus the arm is at the end of the pull up, at the beginning of the pull up,
Yeah.
and how those move. But yeah, no,
But there's certain angles that
you're right.
you have to use reference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
No, I do know what you're saying. Yeah, that's
the vascular
great.
system is just insane. Like
I know.
you can't keep that all in your head. You know?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have that. That's a great piece of
Grey's
advice.
Anatomy is your friend if you're an artist.
You know what? When I was a kid, I think my mother got me a Grey's Anatomy illustrated book. It was like hardcover, but
Mm.
I think she did it by accident. But it was one of those things where you could just peel away the entire human body and see
Oh, I
all
love
these
that one.
muscles and stuff.
that's
And
great.
Yeah.
oh, I know. I was like, man, I tore that thing up.
Somebody made a model of that. Like you could build it and take it apart
Yeah.
at your leisure.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
my son has one of those actually.
That's a
we
whole
bought
other
one.
show, but
It's like
They're
200
cool.
pieces. 200
Yeah.
pieces.
That's
You have
crazy.
anatomy,
Wow.
bones, muscles. He's only 4
Mhm.
and he's already learning how to put it together.
see
It's
that
turning into
they got it. The kids, they got it easy these
Yeah,
days.
doctor. Yeah, hopefully.
They got
Christian
it easy
Rossi's
these
That's
days.
so cool.
issue was just fucking insane. Like it was a great
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Christian
Christian
freaking
kicked it off
beast,
great with
right?
issue 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christian's a beast, man.
Christian is
Yeah.
amazing, man. You look at that Ed Gein book.
That geek
Oh
book,
my god!
his
Yeah.
black and white
Really
art
good.
is the shit.
Yeah, I love Christian. I've been following him
Amazing.
for a while.
Amazing.
Good
Such a
stuff.
good heart. Right, and he like somebody like Christian brings more of a horror vibe.
Yeah. And right here is Nick Hunter. Nick does such a great
Yeah,
job.
it's
He's
beautiful.
the artist too on issue 5 and issue 2. This is issue 7, and we do a little flashback to set up the issue. This goes back to the early 1800s. It's in Dogtown Village in Massachusetts, and we're following Wendy and William, and they're getting chased out of the village. And there's a curse that gets placed upon the both of them, and it's a werewolf story. So we see it later on. We see both of them in Jackson, New Hampshire, in present day, and what they're going through.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but there-
Absolutely fantastic.
like I said, every issue there's different stuff we tackle. There's different stories every single time, and then we're gonna have characters come back, and various plot points that occur where it builds on not just King Cryptid and the world around him, but it builds on those side characters too. I think stuff like that is just it's how you build organically within these stories. I think we're seeing too much event-driven comics nowadays from the mainstream.
Oh,
Way
geez,
too
man,
many.
Hank.
Yeah, and it's just you can't have it having event-driven comics creates the situation where everything is forced all the time because you need an outcome with that event, but you don't want to necessarily disturb status quo so much. So what happens is you end up creating all this false drama, and characters get elevated that shouldn't, characters get killed off just because, and then they come back, and it's ridiculous. The
if everything's a
storytelling doesn't make
crisis-
any
Oh yeah,
sense.
there's no stakes. There's not.
If
there's,
everything's a
there's-
crisis,
Yeah.
then nothing's a crisis.
Oh
Yeah,
god, yeah,
exactly.
And then all of the fucking all of the retrofitting or all of the retconning, right?
Yep,
It's like, oh
yep,
yeah, that heel
exactly.
turn that Tony Stark did in Civil War, yeah, that never happened because it was a scrawl.
Right.
It's like, go fuck yourselves. And
No, I think a
one
lot
of
of
the
people
things
would love to do like
it's
this.
like having millennial friends who aren't familiar with American comics at all, but they know Japanese comics. It's like when the movies came out, they were interested in American comics, but they're like, but I don't know where to start, right? I can't go
Right.
to the bookstore and there's a volume 1, volume 2. And I have to explain to them, it's just like, no, well, like the way it used to be was you just jumped in and you were good, right? So it's like your first issue of Thor could be issue 318. Boom, you were in there and you were going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, with all the event-driven shit, the status quo is changing all the time. There's a new issue number 1 every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking mess.
And then the tail wags the dog. So anything that happens with the movies or anything that's viewed as a more popular, more lucrative property, aspect of it, whatever it may be, that's what ends up dictating how that comic is going to be playing out. And when that thing comes out in time, the comic is just used as like a Happy Meal toy. It's sad. It's a whole industry that's turned into this weird inferior industry when it stood on its own for such a long time. But
I know.
with King Cryptid, I'm all about that in terms of you can jump in at any point in time, and hopefully you enjoy the issue you've got, and that's the reason you want to continue reading it, and then that's the reason you want to seek out the issues that came before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
I tried to
Go
scroll
check this
through
out,
this
people.
thing
You will
nice
not
and
be
slow.
disappointed.
I tried to scroll through this thing nice and slow so people had a chance to read everything before I moved
There's a lot-
on.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, appreciate it,
There's
Pops.
a
You did
lot
a good
to
job.
cover here, and we still got a movie to talk about.
Yeah, I
get
know.
that.
We're
Yeah,
an hour and
We're
3
an hour
minutes in, bro.
into this motherfucker. But yeah, no, everybody go check this out. Link should be in the description or in the chat or whatever. Pete doesn't make himself or his stuff hard to find.
No,
Yep.
alternative.com. Just go.
Don't
Yeah.
miss out on this book.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And it is always good to give people multiple platforms to choose from, because it's like
Mhm.
Facebook people tend to be Kickstarter people, Twitter people tend to be Indiegogo people.
Yeah,
Why
if
can't
you
we
want
all
to
just
support
get along?
whatever your preference is on that, you want to go to Indiegogo, go to Indiegogo. If you want to go to the Alterna site and support direct, you could do that too. The one thing with the Alterna
No!
site, you can
Sorry.
also get whatever other issues and things like that. We got like 400 items on the Alterna site, so you can also check out other books at the same time. Whereas the Indiegogo is more, it's just about King Cryptid.
Just back it already.
Sorry.
All
I
right,
got
so
excited.
tonight's movie, of course, is They Live, which is about a particular type of cryptid, which, of course, is the alien. Specifically, in this case, the aliens that live amongst us hidden. Wow, man. I just really quick want to take a look at some of the art that I found online, because there is a fuck ton of it.
I bet.
Like I said, this was a movie that when it first came out, didn't get any love. I went to see it with my friends. They all thought it was shit. I thought it was awesome. They were like making fun of me. It's just like, that 10-minute fight scene, you thought that was good? I was just
This
like,
movie's like a
Ooh.
Rorschach test for people, you know, at that
Yes,
point
right?
in time.
I am. There's stuff I love about it, and there's stuff I hate about it. There's no in between. But I can tell you this: I worked at the movie theater right before this stopped playing, and the projectionist
Uh-huh.
gave me a box of 50 of these posters all rolled up. And I had just moved out of my house into my buddy's basement. That whole bottom part of the house was set up like an apartment. And my bedroom was his little sister's room at one point. So it was nothing but holly wallpaper all over the place. I took all of these posters that, like the
Wallpapered
regular
the room.
one where Roddy Piper's eye is looking right over the sunglasses.
yeah.
It's like
the
every
classic ones,
wall in the room was the eye just looking at you. That was my wallpaper. Nothing but his. Go back one. Nothing but that
That
eye
right
looking
there.
at you the whole time. All four walls. A lot of thumbtacks.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's
fucking
my
fantastic.
that's my They Live story. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I
got
was
buddies
psyched when
in
this
here.
was coming out that it had Piper in it, because I was such a big Rowdy fan. I'm happy to say I was one of those folks that was into wrestling before it was cool to be into wrestling, right? Where all the kids at school would make fun of me, but like,
Oh, I
you're
love
into
that.
that
That's
fake
awesome.
shit.
Look at that.
Well, I
That
mean,
is the
this is a
coolest
movie
thing.
that it's just like it's incredible the lengths that it has, and that's the thing that fucks me up about John Carpenter. It's like even like his minor movies, like movies that I would consider like fair to middling for Carpenter, right?
Yeah.
They still end up being classics.
Yep.
Well, this is one of those movies. You know how you see a movie and you find out that it's gonna you loved it to death. You find out that it's gonna be rebooted, and you're like, oh no. This is a
Yeah.
movie that needed a bigger budget because it was literally the plot is a worldwide thing. But John
Yeah,
Carpenter being a
They
low
cut every
being a low-
corner. They cut every corner. Even the dollar bills were pieces of paper with.
Well, right, but because I love that. That's a great piece of art right there.
Yeah,
But he's
well,
but he's a master of a low budget. I mean, the way that you squeeze as
dollar
much
bill
money as you
said-
possibly can out of a movie is by, like you were saying before, doing the soundtrack. You do as much of it yourself so that you don't have to outlay all this money for other people to do it. And he does
Well,
a
his ass.
service.
I
he
think
does
this
a
movie
service-
would have lost a lot though if it went global.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I think it
don't
needs
mean,
to be focused on the one dude's trip
Come on,
into.
even
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
the
hell.
dollar
I don't.
bill-
I
Yeah.
don't mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean that it like where. That's the best way to put it is, like in Independence Day, you knew that this was happening everywhere. In this movie, it doesn't have that. It's all over the place. It feels like it's still just in that area, in that city.
Not to me.
Oh no, yeah, it didn't feel
I
like
mean,
that.
I don't
to
like
me.
the signal is going everywhere, but we only ever see that one
Oh, yeah,
aspect.
it's a global invasion, and
Yeah.
and the thing is,
Well,
it's
it's because
that
we had to keep it. We had to keep it based on the stars. You know, the people in the movie, their story. That's you can't take it to somebody else's story in Japan in the middle of the movie, right?
Yeah, well, when he's
Yeah,
on
but
when he's
I
on
guess-
that
I guess-
space
I'm
station,
actually-
he's
I'm
telling
prob-
them
I'm-
about
I'm-
the whole thing that they're
I'm
everywhere.
probably not putting it. I'm probably
Yeah.
not putting it out right. If that there are movies that deserve sequels that never got them. There are movies out there that should have had them. Like one of my favorite cop buddy movies, Running Scared, should have had a sequel. Tailor made for a sequel, and it would have been great. I think this movie would do really good if it had a bigger budget and it was rebooted. Not rebooted, but somebody did something like this
Oh,
with
but
a lot
here's
of
the
money
thing.
behind it.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. You could not do this as the big budget movie then, and you couldn't do it as a big budget movie now because it's too subversive.
Well, I think it
Oh,
needs
it is
more
now,
diversity.
sure. I mean, this
There was
message was
subversive
way
back
ahead of
then.
its time.
Remember, this is about Reagan. John Carpenter was very, very clear about that.
Just
This
look
was
what it
basically
said
like an
on the dollar
anti-Reagan
bills,
movie.
guys. Just look what it said on the dollar bills. This is your
This is
God.
your God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
thought that
know,
was cool.
I mean, the premise of the whole thing
Consume.
was just actually it was kind of before its time. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, but it is one of those movies that more accurately predicts the future than a lot of
That's
some
what I mean.
movies
Well,
predict the
that's what
future
it's
in
predicting
a
the
hokey
present.
way, and this wasn't it.
Like that poster.
Well, it's important to
Yeah.
remember also in terms of like the influence of this movie. The reason why it suddenly got a lot of attention, and because it was ignored for quite a while, this movie came into the public consciousness really during the Occupy Wall Street movement. Because at the Occupy Wall Street movement, at the different encampments that they had, they were all across the country. I know that I had friends that were in the one that was at the actual Wall Street, and they had a little tent set up where they could hang out and everything, and they would obviously want to kill time, so they would watch movies. Guess which movie they watched the most? It was this one. It was They Live.
They did.
And so it's like I'm looking at all of the different artists' interpretations, right? It's like here you've got one of Obama.
I
right?
love that's great. Yeah,
Who
that's awesome.
Crushed. Who was the one, by the way, who crushed the Occupy movement? Who sent in the cops? Like there's that scene when the cops come in to wipe out the shanty
Bulldozers.
town. That
Yeah.
basically happened. Thanks to this MFR. And then, of course, you've got the Orange Man, right? And everybody relax. Don't get all bent out of shape because, like I said, something bad about, like, your hero or whatever.
This is funny because like he didn't have anything to do with any of that.
No, but it's like, it doesn't matter. It works for everybody. You can
Yeah.
do this. You can do this with, you do this with Reagan. You could do it with Trump. You could do it with.
No, what I'm
with
saying is we
W. You could do it with
knew some of
Obama.
this shit was going down way before that. That's what
Yeah, I mean, I
Except with
was
Biden,
only
you don't need the
Yeah.
glasses though. You can just see him straight up the way he is.
I was only 18 at the time. I wasn't really paying that too close of attention. But whenever there was that scene with that one line of his, "Mama don't like tattletales." He's shooting down a drone.
Look,
I mean,
the
how
part-
far ahead?
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
How far ahead of its time?
Well,
was
and
that?
it's a direct commentary on communism on that level, though.
Yeah,
if you really
right,
think
yeah.
about it, because for that type of system to flourish, you need tattletales.
See, that's what
Yes.
doesn't make
Well,
sense.
yeah,
Like when you're
but it's
saying like
also-
it was an allegory for the Reagan administration, and Who was he watching?
Yeah, the thing though with that, I've heard the whole, even from Carpenter, I've heard that it's about consumerism and anti-capitalism
Yeah,
and
capitalism, yeah.
corruption on that level. Yeah, but then there's a ton more to it other than that, and there's stuff
Oh,
that he
yeah,
obviously doesn't
messaging.
want to say
Right, because if
He
it was
does
just
not
about
wanna
that,
say.
we wouldn't
because
be
he'd
talking
paint a
about it.
target on his back.
The
Because it's
subliminal
very
messaging-
obviously about the globalist kind of structure and the elite versus
Yup.
those that
Exactly.
are beneath them and they want to
And-
keep beneath them.
And the subliminal messaging was the one thing that was accurate about what was going on in media at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
real. That
And marketing.
subliminal messaging
Oh,
and
yeah.
advertising and shit was real.
Go back 2 pictures real quick, Brian.
Well, when I talked to Roddy straight
Okay.
up said, "Pete, this is a documentary. They Live was a
Oh
documentary."
yeah.
And he's like, I don't mean he was like, it was a direct thing. We didn't have special effects. He's like, I don't mean that kind of documentary. He said, this is the kind of documentary where we took a little bit of artistic license to get the point across. But he's like, this is based on real stuff with real
True
people, the way that they behave and the way you
Yeah.
get the powerful, keeping those powerless and
Yep.
making them brainwashed into thinking they're powerless when all you got to do is just wake up and see. And that's the
brown
thing.
shirts, they go along with
Like,
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like that whole thing. He's like consumerism, capitalism, blah blah. He's like, we're making a movie, we're selling a movie. He's like, that kind of stuff was to basically just sell it to people within that area
Yeah.
and make that message go across. Because the more important
Popular
point of the
trope.
message, was basically that of like, look around. You're getting people that are keeping you under their thumb
Yep.
and want it to be that way
Yeah.
and want to distract you constantly.
Hey,
And
Brian,
that
go
was
back-
straight from a
Nice to meet
conversation I had with Roddy. And yeah, so it's one of those things. It's funny to me because, if Carpenter went really into it on the full scale level of every single aspect of what that movie was about and really just spilled it, I think he wouldn't work a day again in
It
Hollywood.
would have broke.
Is that
it would have
so-
broke media, dude.
Definitely
That,
not.
that would have broke
Superfly
media.
Snoop.
That's
Is
when he
it?
smashes the coconut, right, on his head.
Yes.
Oh,
Poor
I
Superfly.
remember watching this.
See, this
when
is
it
already
first
derailed.
aired,
I had a
videotaping
point
it
about
and
one of the
watching it
characters, but
over
this
and
is-
over
there's
and
no
over and
way-
over and
Right,
over
right.
again.
I gotta get a beer here in a second.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because basically, Jimmy Snuka's gone on Piper's Pit, right? And Piper is basically, I was going to say being low key racist. No, he's being like high key, high volume racist, right?
Yeah.
Because of course, Snuka was from the Fiji Islands, and so he's like throwing bananas and coconuts at him. Hey, you want? Here, I'll make you feel comfortable. He's got like a pineapple there and everything like that. And then Snuka's like, "You're making fun of me." Piper, of course, like, "Oh no, I would never do that."
Am I making fun of you? Whoa, no, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, the whole set goes down. I love how the new WWE logo is down in the corner when it wasn't even called that back then.
Yeah.
So that to me is one of the things that makes John Carpenter such a G. Is
I
that
can
he
hear
looks
the
at this and
bagpipes
he's like,
in the
"That's the
background."
star of the movie."
Well, I liked how they embraced the wrestling fucking moves, with him and David
Oh
King.
yeah, that was
And for a
amazing.
while, that was
Oh
in the
my
Guinness Book
God.
of World
And
Records
that's
for the
what-
longest fight scene in a movie. And
Oh,
I just
yeah.
love that fight. It just
That
never
fight scene's
ends. and
great.
it's
Did he
so
get
well
credit for
choreographed.
fight
Everybody
choreography?
did.
Did Piper get credit for fight choreography? Because he was.
No,
you
you
know-
should have though. But
you know
yeah, he's
was
the
in
one
there
that
with his notebook.
choreographed
I
it.
got these one-liners and
Yeah.
these awesome moves.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, like once again, it's like when this movie first came out, people did not fucking get it. There are
Yeah.
certain films I could say, like
They did.
Brian De Palma's remake of Scarface, right?
Yep.
With
Pacino?
Al
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I remember when that came out, like it went right over people's, like all the critics, it went right over their heads. Like they didn't get the
Really?
humor.
Really?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I
like,
love me some
they're
Scarface.
complaining. They were
That's a good
like,
one.
he says the F word like 500 times.
Yeah.
It's just like,
That's what they
yeah,
latched
and
on
it's
to.
a joke.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Possession, which is kind of, I guess, for most people would be an obscure horror movie. When that came out, nobody understood that. Now it's considered a classic and a masterpiece.
It's crazy, huh?
So it's nice to see that there are films that don't, and all other works of art that people don't get when they first come out, even though they're brilliant, but then they get their comeuppance. Carpenter, of course, has just been exceptionally lucky.
His messages just come out 10 years
I
too
don't think it
early.
was luck. I don't think it was luck at all. I think he was talented, and people just
No,
thought
I mean,
he
yeah,
was
no,
way
it-
ahead of like.
Yeah.
It
No, you're
just
right.
takes dumbed down
Yeah.
America 10 years to catch up with dudes trying to say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean
mean,
that's one thing that fucks me. Like I said, that's the thing that fucks me up about him. I mean, it's even like, for instance, The Fog. I never thought much of The Fog. Not that I ever thought it was a
Like
bad movie, but I was kind of like
that piece.
I love the
right?
fog.
yeah.
I went to see that at the Alamo Draft House, 4K restoration, big fucking screen. Everybody walked out of that theater like that was awesome.
Oh.
So it's like even his minor movies, it's crazy, man.
Well, even Halloween 3, which I think is honestly the best friggin' Halloween movie, but it's one of those things where people.
I do too, and they just shouldn't have called it that.
No, it just,
Yeah, well, he
of course,
wanted it
the
to
one
be
with the
more of
masks.
like an anthology at that point, and then
That was
that
the
that
idea.
really didn't do well, and then they just were like, all right, go back to Michael Myers.
Yeah.
right,
but-
because that's what people were expecting, and it's
Yeah.
just
I
like,
thought that was the creepiest of all the Halloween movies.
But yeah,
it's
Season of the
fantastic.
Witch,
Oh,
it's yeah,
Yeah. But
and
it
just the
suffered the- it
subtext
suffered
is
the-
It suffered
brutal.
the same fate as that 1994 Motley Crue CD where they called it Motley Crue and they shouldn't have. They should have called it something else because it was really
Right.
good. Somebody expected something different.
Like Over the Hill, they should have called it.
right,
In
so it's like-
94?
if it
In
was called Season of the
94?
Witch, it would be considered a classic. Dan O'Hurley?
No,
Oh my
I'm
God.
over the hill. Me referencing that
Chris, you're
record means that
cutting
I'm
deep
over the
tonight,
hill.
boy.
That's how that works.
You know what's crazy about They
Oh.
Live? It feels like very, very LA, dude.
Right.
Like you're there the whole time because I live in LA, so it's like
Yeah.
it's
Really?
very like to the ground, like you're like it's very close to my house. So I don't know, man. Like the way they
Really?
shot it, it's just like they nailed it down. And then you have all like the elites that are kind of running from there, you know, running the movement. And
well,
I
yeah,
don't know, man,
especially
it's
with
just crazy.
the homeless population they got going there. That's like what?
yeah,
Is it Santa Monica? Is that where they've got?
yeah,
a
it's
ton
Santa
of them?
Monica, and mostly it's Venice is Mecca for the homeless
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
country.
That's a great piece, Brian. They got the
Yeah, the
anatomy
Reagan
on
one?
the hands and everything. That
Yeah, isn't that
previous-
Dude, Roddy,
fantastic.
man. Roddy
Hey.
cockblocked that one at the end, dude.
Look at that.
very
I
end.
love the anatomy of the hands there.
Well,
Hey,
I love
can
I-
the
can-
fact
can-
that
you
they're
guys
not
are like that- the
aliens,
homeless
that
guy.
They look like ghouls.
I did one
Yeah.
like that as
Foolish.
Biden for a customer, and I never took a
Lizard
photo
people.
of it. I just,
That's what I'm saying. You don't need the glasses for
Delivered
Biden, dude. He's already like
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
his flesh mask is just like well, he's got so many different masks he wears, you know.
Well, now he's
That
got
one-
no one
that
got
one-
open chins.
That
That's what
one
he's
got
got.
the
poster that
boobs
you
right
had
there.
displayed like a way back that had the picture of I don't know the actor's name, but I know I've seen him in other stuff. Don't oh yeah, okay, go back 3-2 with that guy. Okay, stop. Go forward one. No.
Oh,
No.
out of bubble.
There, stop. Okay. All the way
George
to the
Buck
right.
Flower?
The guy in the
Yeah,
tux.
George-
All
yeah,
the way to
George
the
Buck
right. The
Flower.
guy in the tux, right?
Oh, yeah,
he-
George Buck
He's
Flower.
a
His-
Carpenter
was
mainstay.
his-
Carpenter regular.
Was his character arc so quick that he should have got whiplash? He went from homeless to millionaire. He went from homeless
Brag
to
Ricky.
millionaire within
Yeah,
like
'cause he
a
sold out.
day.
Sold out.
Yeah, but
he's a
it's
sellout,
almost
dude.
like
indication.
like I would like this is the one thing I watched the movie. Like, what did
He's
that guy have
he's
to
the
offer?
dude who sold them out.
That's what I was thinking too.
did you
though.
get that?
Someone
Yeah,
comes behind
that's
us.
yeah. He's the dude who sold them out. That's why they invaded the area.
Right, because
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering. I was
Yeah,
like,
but
what
he-
do you
That's
got?
why there was that
He's-
whole raid.
He sold him out without knowing that he sold. Oh, guys,
No,
now
he
he
sold
sold
them
them
out,
out
and that's
while
how
he's
he
trying
got
to sell
promoted.
them on the idea of. I did like the
He snitched. That's what
where
that's
they-
what
Yeah.
that character
He's a
is.
snitch.
Snitch.
He
snitches get
sold him
dollar
out. That's how
dollar
he got
bill,
promoted.
y'all.
Exactly.
He said, "Sure, I'm your president."
Yeah, he sold
Remember
his
that in
soul.
Escape from New York? He's getting punched out.
Yeah.
I'm your
Hail
president.
to the chief.
Yeah, him and Peter Jason, they're in so many Carpenter
So many,
films.
dude.
So many.
Oh, dude, I
Was
forgot.
is
too.
it Megan Megan
And they had
Foster
they had
with the
the
eyes?
Ghostbuster, the PKE meter. Oh yeah, what's her eyes? They had the
Oh
Ghostbuster
man, Megan
PKE
Foster,
meter.
yeah, for sure.
Did you guys notice that at the very end of the movie?
The PKE
The,
meter.
Yeah, from Ghostbusters, they actually have them. The main soldiers going after Rowdy and David Keith at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
I
about.
was like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
snap,
yeah.
yeah.
The
It's like
film.
the one that Egon always used. Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I have a quiz, a question. Does anybody know the name of the font that John Carpenter uses in every single
Oh
credit? Anyone?
no,
No?
No,
No.
No?
please,
What is it? I do
please.
Flare serif.
Flare Serif.
That's what it's called. It's just, that's one of those things that stuck in my head. Like, Ben Gwait, whenever you see it, flare serif.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. I looked it up just to make sure. I don't want to embarrass myself on stream.
But by the way, really quickly, just wanted to mention screenplay by Frank Armitage. Frank Armitage, also known as John Carpenter. It's
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's not
Yeah,
like an
it's
anagram, right?
It's
No, there's no
Well,
J in it.
Martin Quatermass. That was the name that he used for the screenplay for Prince of Darkness.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
None of
why
that.
why suddenly he was like taking his name off the screenplay.
Well, now, Brian, if he's submitting invoices to the studio 3 different times under 3 different names, then he is a genius.
That's true.
Well, he was asked in an interview,
Gotta get paid,
why
man,
do you
shoot.
call-
You gotta
why
get
do you
paid,
do the
get
score
paid.
to all of your films? And he said, because I'm cheap.
Well, yeah, he does a lot with a little. But my point previously was he does a lot with a little, but a plot like this, I think, would do better with a bigger budget. Like if you gave it to somebody who could do. Like, you imagine whatever you think of John Cameron films or James Cameron films, what he could do with this.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I would
Yeah,
love to see
but-
this character in a
But then
sequel.
it
I love
wouldn't
Roddy
be
Roddy in this movie.
subversive.
I think it would ruin
It wouldn't be
it. I don't-
subversive.
It would
You
ruin
think
it.
Yeah,
so?
I don't.
Well,
I don't know what
I
else
don't
he would
think-
do because even the makeup effects are good, and the
Yeah, you'd kill the cult aspect
Yeah.
of the movie if you went ahead and
Yeah.
you just made it like a big budget. Yeah.
It would ruin the whole
I would like to
thing,
see a
I
sequel,
think.
Well,
though.
yeah, you
I
would
think
be
that would
the
ruin it
cult
too.
aspect. I don't know that the cult
But-
aspect of this film would remain. I always just thought like this story is a planetary thing, and it's
Do you
concentrated.
know what
in
big
this
budget means today, though? It means CGI and crap. This
Yes,
was done
yes.
live action, and it looks legit.
Dude, it's there, like, it's
Yeah,
on the
you
scene,
would
like,
have
on-
to find the right. You'd have to
street.
find
This
the
is
right.
so
You'd have
street,
to find.
you know?
You would have to find a Venny. Was it?
All
And
big
you'd have
budget
to
means
find-
is that somebody's going to CGI the hell out of it, and then it ain't going to be no
Yeah.
good. And
I just
have
I
to
don't know
find
what
a-
they would have used the money for on a
You'd
bigger
have to
That's what
find
I'm
a
saying.
Denny Villeneuve. You'd have to find a Denny Villeneuve, somebody who actually is a fan of the film, who is in films, who would treat it with respect, and that is rare to find. You're not
good
going
luck
to
with
get that.
that. Yeah,
I love
then
Roddy's
that guy
character, though,
would
man.
get
I hate seeing him.
fired and replaced by like some other douchebag.
Yeah, no, I couldn't see it. No, I mean, some movies are just made good.
Well, Roddy's
you
kind
know?
of like a
Yep.
stand-in for Kurt Russell in a way.
He is, dude. He is.
Yeah,
He's got the hair and
absolutely.
everything, right?
I did. I had that
Yeah.
thought today when I was
You
at
can
work.
totally
Imagine
see
what Kurt
Kurt
Russell
Russell.
would have been in here.
Yes.
Been in this.
But
But
Kurt
like
ain't
the
got those
riot
moves yet,
scene.
you know?
We've all seen riots. We've all seen riots since this movie, and it's
Yeah.
not like a line of 10 cops with a smattering of people.
But this also isn't a riot. This is
No.
an attack. This
That's
is
a raid
Yeah.
on a small base.
Controlled
brutalize
attack.
these people and to fucking basically
Aliens.
fucking sweep them off the street like they're pieces of human garbage. This is the one part of the movie I have to say that every time I see this movie, this scene wipes the smile off my face because there's something genuinely chilling about it because this really happens.
This
It's not
really
like it wouldn't work as a Soylent Green scene with the
No, well, in
bulldozers.
Soylent Green also, obviously, that's about overpopulation, so you need a much bigger cast for that. And then, of course, we have these scenes, which are great, which make
Yeah.
you feel like an old like Outer Limits episode.
Yeah, these
Yeah,
are genius.
Did
And
you guys
These
ever
are
check into
genius.
the movie?
I
Black
love.
and white. I wonder whose idea that was, because that's a great use. Of,
Yeah.
You know,
What
you know
what I
little
really love
detail
though
about
is that
Evil Myths?
you got to film differently for black and white to pop in the way it's
Yes.
supposed to. And then when he's in the convenience store and you
Mhm.
see all the product, I'm like, wow, they put all that product and they did it
Yeah.
old school style and
Yeah,
created all
what I
those
mean.
labels
That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
for just a couple seconds of shots. It's great.
Well, you got to figure what the magazines and the magazine rack are going to get repurposed for. Now, this shot here,
Yeah.
there's
yeah.
a lot of time and energy.
Oh yeah. Did you guys notice at the end of the movie that like they could see them,
Stay
or they could
asleep.
see they without their glasses?
Yeah, because then the
Like they got
signal's
to the point
cut
where they got-
off. Yeah.
Because they
yeah.
got the what do you call them? Contacts from the
Yeah,
chick.
they had contact lenses.
Mhm.
No, I think
Yeah,
you're
but then
talking
also
about
the climax
Actually, before that,
yeah
I
when
think
he
Rodney
takes out
and,
the antenna.
I think
But
before that
not-
though, when
yeah.
when they're going up the building, I think there's a couple scenes before they take out the antenna when they're.
Oh,
shooting
okay,
it
yeah,
up,
it is because of the
maybe-
contacts.
That's because
Yeah.
of the contact lens.
Yeah, that's the contact.
Okay.
They trade in the sunglasses, and she gives them contacts.
Okay.
Remember, there's the biker that greets them.
You went
Yeah.
and got a beer.
There's
when
something
they- when
new
that
going
scene was-
down.
If
Yeah,
I did.
he points at it. Yeah, there's something new
You know
going
what?
down.
Just give me an idea. I'll be right back.
Yeah, this is my favorite line of the movie. It figures it would be something like this.
Yeah.
One of the details that a lot of people miss, by the way, and it's only very casually mentioned in the background. They colorized the world. Like this is the real world. The real world is in black and white, and the illusion is in color. And
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
only mentioned, like you hear somebody mentioning it, like in the background of that scene where they're like meeting in the warehouse, like the to plot the uprising, the rebellion. Formaldehyde face. And then, oh my God, yes,
have
we
one
have
that can
of course,
see.
that frickin' fight.
She's okay. You formaldehyde.
Now I will say this: in the apartment when he went with that chick back to her apartment, and she threw him through the window.
Meg Foster.
Honestly, thought she was a robot at that point because she obviously wasn't an alien. I was like, how the fuck did she just throw Roddy Piper out of the window? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he just got him right out of there.
Yeah.
A
Like
thin
one
thread.
She hit
pane
him in the back
glass.
of the head of the bottle.
Meg Foster, I think the first one of her earliest appearances on television
That
was the $6
Brazilian
Million Man.
jiu-jitsu.
It was either the $6 Million Man or Wonder Woman. She was in one of those.
Right.
Oh,
and
there you
she
go.
had those very beautiful, very
Oh, man.
sort of striking, almost alien.
You can't look
looking
away.
eyes that, I think were perfect for this. And
Are
of
you
course,
allowed
we
to
got-
do this? Are you allowed to do this?
And then he mentions, like, casually that the glasses actually get you high.
Yes.
That-
Yes.
That-
Looking down,
So the
what
way that
crap.
he's
I thought he said they
behaving
gave you a
here,
headache.
It's because he's
Well,
like,
no,
an
that when the
alternating
TV
consciousness.
when the TV turns off and that other signal is that the hacker signal is coming through, that's when they start complaining about headaches. So this is kind of like it's like that, but it's even further. The glasses get you high, interrupting the signal gives you a headache.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be like a
I
fun
have
fact if
come
they only
here-
had like 5 masks total and they just had to like switch in between actors and
Hey, man.
somebody had like
you know,
really
film-
bad
film is
breath
all
and the
about
next person
illusion.
had to
To chew
Sounds like
bubblegum
Planet of the Apes,
and
too.
kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
This one's gnarly right here. I love this.
That guy's done.
his aim with birdshot is
Oh yeah, it's
I know,
incredible.
like nobody else gets hurt.
Until they get in that
That dude
alley, and
finished
then
the
none of them
hardest
can
right
shoot.
there.
Yeah.
He's great
See,
in the
you wouldn't
bank.
get like fucking cool
Hold up.
practical special effects.
Yeah,
like
really good in the bank, but
He's
yeah,
great
like
in
an
the bank,
enclosed
but they
base,
get
he
back in
misses
that alley, and
everybody.
he can't hit nothing.
Well, I mean, that's why
Oh, man.
shotgun's a perfect weapon for somebody that can't aim for shit.
No, with the
Yeah,
shotgun, I
it's
think he
something
misses
with
everybody,
buckshot.
doesn't he?
No, the shotgun, he was nailing people, but you give him that automatic, and you put him back there
Yeah.
in that alley, and he can't hit nothing.
Yeah, no, you got to line
Looked
up
like
your sight picture.
stormtroopers
You gotta
fighting in
line up-
that alley. It was crazy.
also
Nobody was
remember-
hitting anything.
He's not an action hero in this. He's just like a working man. He's just
He's a
like
drifter.
average guy. His character's name is Nada, right? Which of course means nothing. And I did want to take a real quick look at the source for They Live, because it's not
Nice.
based on a science fiction story from a novel. It's based on a science fiction story from a comic book. In fact, a comic book that I own, and I have to say, I absolutely loved this series when it first came out. It was from Eclipse Comics, and it was, let's see, the cover should be here somewhere, because yeah, there it is, Alien Encounters, issue number 6. And
Now, did that come first, or did the short story come first? 8 o'clock in the morning.
no, this came the
The
short
comic came
story is
first?
the comic book. The comic book is this is what the movie's based on, and you don't see that in the opening credits, but you do see it in the closing credits. You'll see there like the characters walking by, and then you can see what the sign really looks like: work 8 hours, play 8 hours, sleep 8 hours, marry and reproduce. And also at the end, you remember once the signal, like the very last shot of the movie, this woman is on top of one of the yuppie
Yeah, hey
aliens.
babe, what's the matter?
baby?
Yeah.
And she
Oh yeah,
looks
yeah.
down.
That's what I'm saying. Roddy cockblocked that chick, dude. Remember?
Yeah, sure did. Roddy kills boners, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, if and I don't think it's expensive. I mean, unfortunately, I'd be showing off my copy of this right now, but it's in storage right now. But here you can see the character, like, you know, blast and the aliens going on a rampage with a MAC-10. So yeah, basically, John Carpenter read this story and was like, "Damn, this would make a great movie."
More detective-y, you know,
More noir-like.
more noir kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, if we were going to do something like a period piece or a noir, it would have been way more expensive.
I like this more.
This
Yeah.
was great, dude. It was perfect.
Like I said, Kurt Russell, you know, he's more of a badass, but Rowdy
Right.
kicks more ass, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like,
fucking
oh, man.
Piper, dude. Piper,
Oh.
son.
And
Him and Paul
in this
Orndorff?
movie, you know, I
Kurt
love me
acts
some
like an
Jack-
ass kicker. Rowdy is an ass kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, Soldier. Oh man, that's what I'm saying. Kurt wasn't there yet. You know,
awesome.
Soldier, he's on another level.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I loved
I'm
it.
Love that
a
movie.
huge Kurt Russell fan.
Soldier's a
That
great
goes-
name.
that goes
For as
all over.
formulaic as it is, Soldier is an awesome movie.
Yes.
Awesome. Totally underrated when it came out.
I love how they put those little tiny connections to the Blade Runner world in there, the Blade
Yeah.
Runner universe.
Yes.
I love the snake, the part where he makes
Yeah,
the boy
with the
freeze
boot.
the snake. Yeah.
And really one of Kurt Russell's best performances, especially considering that he
Yeah.
really doesn't have any real dialogue.
That's kind of how this was in the
It's all like,
beginning
yes,
too,
sir, no, sir.
with Roddy. Another thing I liked about with Roddy's character when he's sitting in the hotel and they're grubbing down some munchies, you get a little
Yeah.
bit into his character about him and his pops. You know,
Yes.
that's all you get.
And
kinda.
and it goes into like the personal
I
price
think he wrote that. He must have
and
wrote
other
that.
people pay because of the rapacious greed of these fucking bloodsuckers.
Like his dad was scary, dude. His dad was like what, serial killer or not serial killer? Like
No, he was
he's
just
definitely a
drunk.
maniac or something. Child.
He was
beater.
abusive.
No, he was just a drunk. And
Oh.
If he was addicted to anything, it would have been a bad
One
document.
of the victims of unfettered capitalism, basically.
Well, usually when people are scared to stand up for themselves in a job or something like that, when they get home, they take out all their anxiety and anger on the people next to them.
Yep.
Walk
But
straight
yes,
through
one of the
front
things that this
door and
movie was
slam it.
criticized for and dissed for was this scene.
That was my favorite.
Did you see the South Park spoof of this?
No,
I wonder how
Sure,
much of that blood was real.
I'm sure there's a lot of spoofs on.
I
that
love
scene.
the part
Oh, I
where he
heard
smashes the
You
car
overextended
window.
again, Rodney. Rodney.
It's all mad. Like,
Stop
You
over-
catch when he
overextending.
smashes the car window and he acts as if like he
You
just
embarrassed?
smashed that guy's car.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not his car though. And
Yeah,
then
he's like,
and Keith David gets so pissed about it, but it's like it's not Keith David's car
Right, right.
Oh,
He
yeah,
parked
that was
there.
true.
Is that you know?
because he's like,
And we gotta
"Oh,
give
sorry."
fucking mad crazy props to fucking Keith David.
Oh,
man.
dude,
I
he
love
sells
him
the shit out of it.
Oh, he was
Oh
great.
yeah.
So good in here. This one have been at work with the
Look, both of these guys, some dirty fighters.
Yeah,
I
so
love
look
it.
at that. Somebody
I
threw
know.
away a perfectly good white boy.
This is a perfect
Oh, yeah, yeah.
metaphor
I
for
like
what
this
it's
one.
like trying
I
to
like this
wake up anybody out of the insane world that we live in.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure.
You gotta
Yes.
Put the
Beat
glasses
the
on.
crap out of
Fuck
them
you.
almost to the end. It's like it kind of parallels that part in V for Vendetta where he has to do to Evie.
Absolutely.
Push it
yeah.
to the extent of, right to the edge where
Yeah,
you're
it's
ready
the
to
same-
possibly kill this individual.
Well, this is
Fighting him
two
and kicking his
guys.
legs out at the same
You
time.
want to
like,
wake up a girl. If you want to wake up a girl, you do what you do in for Vendetta. Two guys got to go at it like this. Totally
Dude, this
different
is great
formula.
though. They both fight dirty, but they both got like that. You can't
Yeah.
really knock them
Just
out.
like
There's like
You know,
5
hard-
groin shots. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
halfway through, halfway through the eye
Oh.
gouge, he's like, "Wait a minute, he can't use the glasses without his eyes."
I know, right?
they ain't living no more down there.
Here we go. Now it's
They
about
spent a
to
week-
get serious.
They spent a week shooting this scene.
That's it.
Oh wow, really?
Now it's about to get serious. He goes, whoa!
Such a good fight. Oh my god.
If
Watch
this
this
was a
over and over
folding
again.
chair, you'd be dead by
Oh
now.
shit, that was close.
classic.
That was really
And-
Yeah, dude.
close.
And all my friends, like,
Look, he's
wait a
smiling.
second, you like that piece of shit? That
Did you see how
fucking
close he
10-minute
came to
fight
your
scene?
boy's head with that
Yeah.
2x4?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that
close.
was-
Well, it's got to be rubber though, right?
No,
A
no,
piece of blue
no.
foam. You think a piece of blue
Did you
foam?
hear it? Hit
I've
the
never seen
ground.
it flex.
Oh, oh, like-
Well, blue foam doesn't flex. It's
Physics meter.
Well, yeah, I
right
mean, usually they'll have like one for one shot and one for like another.
Yeah, you're right.
You hear it hit the ground.
wow.
You hear it hit the
Sound
ground. It
designers.
sounds like a 2x4.
This is great when he gets to the
That's a
car.
2x4. Okay,
Ready to
never
literally
mind.
kill each other.
My
Oh,
bad.
man, see? Clink, clink, clink.
That sugar glass
Broken
doesn't
bottle
break
never
like
works.
rock.
The broken bottle never works.
Yeah.
Oh, he got the
Hit
bitch slap
Magnum.
on him.
I know.
Toast off.
Piper. German suplex.
There you go.
Oh.
You know that hurts on the concrete.
I
care
don't know what this
anybody-
is going to sound like to anybody, but I liked Piper's hair through this entire thing.
No,
The mullet is weird.
The flowy mullet.
Quintessential late 80s hair, man. It's-
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
mullet can't be defeated, yo. They can beat the shit
it
out of
can't.
Piper. The mullet will be there forever.
Is that a mullet? Don't
Yeah,
tell me
man.
that's a
You
mullet.
dig him up right now. That mullet's pristine.
One of the
I
best
promise
looking
you.
mullets I've ever seen.
Suplex.
There you go.
There it is.
That's a finisher right there. Good night.
It could show you all the
Well,
moves you could
Ron
actually do in a
did
street fight. You know.
a couple of movies with Billy Blanks. You know, the Tai Bo guy.
Tybo!
Tai Bo, you know that guy?
Yeah, I remember him.
He
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a direct-to-video martial arts movie star, and Piper did 2 movies with him. And there's one of those
Oh, cool.
movies where they fight each other, and it's a really good scene because Piper's
Nice.
using like the wrestling moves, and then Billy Blanks is using like his Tai Bo or whatever it was that
Tybo.
that he was using. But I mean, one of the reasons why you would hire professional wrestlers for movies like this is because they
They're
for a
already
living-
stuntmen.
Yeah.
or like can make it look like they're beating somebody up without actually
They
killing
know how to
them.
fall.
Yeah.
They know how to land.
Right.
All that shit, dude.
They
Right.
look like superheroes.
And they're not going to kill your
Exactly.
star. They're not going to kill your star because you know, I mean, the whole
Yeah.
thing with professional wrestlers is that there's a trust there where it's like
Yeah.
they're trusting each other with each other's bodies and their lives and their careers.
They
Where
do.
it's like if anybody fucks up, you know,
You're
that
dead.
could
Yeah.
that could be their ass.
Well, then props to Keith David because you know he doesn't know anything about. I'm sure he had to like learn all this from.
Oh yeah,
on.
Keith David's the shit.
Quick too.
Keith David's the shit.
Yeah. Best
Fucking
voice
love
in all
that
of
dude.
acting.
Look! Look at him, they're everywhere!
Oh shit!
Look out.
Old fatty's got the old dirty fatty's got the
They're everywhere.
got the facts.
Hold on.
I actually recommend that you check out Tales from the Hood 2.
That was
yeah,
good.
But
Oh,
don't watch the whole movie. Go to the very end, right before the credits. Like go right to like the 85-minute point. It's on Tubi. Go to 85 minutes just to hear Keith David yell, "Welcome to hell, motherfucker!"
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Just like
They should
just
get him for
suck-
Goliath,
suck-
man.
Oh, this is actually awesome for like 1 second. Yeah, he's actually recommended for that, just for that one moment.
What's up, expert?
Up the expert. Everybody loves They Live.
Hell
This
yeah,
is one of
it's
those
a good
movies
movie.
that everybody loves. It's
Yeah.
hard to find anybody that doesn't like this movie now. When it first came out, man, not so much. Man.
Well, I'm like you, B.
Feeling it.
I was one of them kids that my stepdad took me to wrestling matches when I was little.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I
yeah.
met RJ when I was like, Andre when I was like 8. And dude,
Yeah,
look,
did you
I
really?
went to, oh shit, I got to go like shake his hand, right? I mean, I
Oh
was
my
standing,
god!
looking at his knees. Okay, I'm looking at his knees, and I put my hand up, and his hand comes up to my armpit, and he shook my arm, right?
I'm pulling it off.
I'm not lying. The dude's hand was that big that my whole arm was in his hand. He was shaking
Oh
my
my
whole
God.
freaking arm. Dude was immense. I mean, I was 8. I was little, so you know how much more
course.
larger than life he
Yeah, well, I
is.
mean, you see in Princess Bride, he's covering up Carrie Elway's entire face with his
Mhm.
hand.
And then I met Kevin Nash, who's also super tall giant like that,
Super
right?
shredded.
As an
Yeah,
adult,
he's like a
and it's
Viking.
like they're
I met
still,
him.
Yeah.
it's still imposing when you meet somebody that freaking large, dude.
I met
Yeah.
Kevin Nash at a HorrorCon, and there was a porn star there too. Like she was also a guest. And Kevin Nash
Preston's
and
always down with
no, well, it's true. It's absolutely true. And Kevin Nash never showed up the next day to the con because they said he got coked up with the porn star.
That don't surprise
He
me.
slept.
Those gosh darn porn stars always getting the
Oh, man.
always getting the lead
Surprised me at all.
coked up.
Kevin was styling, dude. He was living his life at that time.
Big sexy man, big
Dude.
sexecutioner.
Yeah, I remember that.
By the way, let's take a look at this. I gotta show you this because I also love the movie posters from other countries. This is the
Oh, yeah.
poster from Ghana.
Wow.
Which I think is
Rocking
what,
a kilt,
East
too.
Which
Africa?
look more like zombies.
Check out his left eye over the sunglasses. He's
Hot
on
rod.
some good shit, man.
He's got
Yeah.
a hot
Oh,
rod
shit.
shirt.
I never noticed that.
he's either he's half tripping or something.
And
What
there's
is that,
literally
Uriah?
zombies
What's
here.
happening?
The skeletal hand.
Dude,
Hot
that
rod.
one zombie's got heat vision or something.
I know.
See
But
the
also
re-
the shirt. It's not a hot rod. It's hot rod.
Hot rod, yeah.
Now, that
Wait,
would
what
be
is going
cool.
on at
The
bottom?
posters
Like,
in
what's going on at the
Africa is
bottom?
like a
Is somebody
whole other
bending
art
over?
form.
Who's bending over at the bottom in the bottom
We
corner?
got the Exorcist down there.
What
running
is
down the
that?
stairs.
Oh, I don't know.
It's Keith David.
That's a good question.
Keith David losing the fight.
Posters in Africa for movies are like AI gone wrong.
What is that?
what it
Is
looks
that-
like.
Crack down there.
Like they're
that a
putting in
butt crack?
the prompts into the African AI.
What is that?
I'm not going to
What is
speculate.
it?
I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm just going to let that go.
Oh, it's a guy who's had his ass beaten, and he's kind of like leaning.
His pants are
hanging
down.
over a rope.
His pants
But I
are
thought he had his
down.
ass in the air. I thought he was just like putting his hands down and sticking his ass in the air. But
That's what
no,
exactly
he's
what it
hanging
looks
over
like.
The rope because he's just had his ass beat.
Oh,
rope
those
is-
are ring ropes.
Okay.
It
They're
still
trying to
looks
bring the
like some
wrestling
heavy
part in there.
plumber's crack.
Well, that's a really
action
small-
going on.
What is a really- That's a
What
really
did Roddy
small
do to
guy.
that dude in the ring?
It's a really small guy. He's hanging over the bottom rope.
I've never seen that wrestling movie.
Midgets.
Yeah, I know.
The live.
Oh man.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the amount
yeah, the
of,
live.
like I said, the amount
The
of
live.
art, and I was expecting this too. I was thinking because you know me, I always love like finding fan art, and fan posters, and shit like that. And then of course
Yeah.
different DVD and Blu-ray editions. But yeah, he's got yoga pants on. Oh,
This
thanks,
is a great
expert.
movie.
We appreciate you, man. Everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much. We really do appreciate you. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe, ring a ding ding dong bell for notifications.
Yeah, and just so people know, you might not be able to see everybody's comments. Some people are watching on a different channel. We broadcast to a lot of different places, so right now you're watching on Pete's channel, I think, or ID's channel. You're watching on
There,
Brian's
yeah,
channel.
those
And
are
you're
those are
watching on
some.
Madness, and we're in Facebook and on Twitter and on Twitch. We're all over the place, so
yeah.
you might not be able
And
to see
also-
everybody's comments in your chat, but we try to highlight them all because we love you guys.
Yes.
For sure. And those, I linked this to my channel,
Yeah.
and so you're getting some of my buddies from the Experts channel. You want to check him out. He does a pretty decent job over there on YouTube. But that's him, the
Yeah.
Expert, on Twitter and YouTube, and some of my friends from over there. Thanks for showing up. I
Look around
appreciate
and
it.
follow everybody, man. Follow Brian's
Seriously.
channel. Follow the Madness. Follow everybody. Do that.
Yeah. And everybody, go check out
Matt's channel.
Pete's campaign for
King Cryptid.
King Cryptid issues. What's 5 through 9, right?
Yep.
Go
yeah.
back and watch the first hour of this.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
We're gonna go, but we're gonna take another look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Before we peace out, for sure. But also, ID, you shared this. What's
That's
this?
that's Dale Keown pencils. When I was looking for pencil work by different artists and stuff, and this is one of the ones that came up. You guys were talking about how his pencils don't need inks, and
Nope.
this is one of them. It's just I don't
Don't
know,
let
man.
any
Whatever he's on, I want some.
Exactly.
I mean, the amount of patience and concentration, and not
That's
just
something
not
that I'm
because
hoping will
this
make a
didn't all
comeback.
happen. What's that?
I said that's one thing I'm hoping will make a comeback
Oh yeah,
because of the success of manga
yeah.
is black and white comic book art. Because like I wanted to do Six Gun Gorilla originally in black and white because I'm such a black and white guy.
Yeah.
But at that point, this was like 10 years ago. I was like, oh well, you can't sell a black and white book, right? Nowadays, I'm not so sure that you couldn't get away with it.
I think you can.
Because seriously,
It
you wanna
seemed
put
to work
color
fine
on
for The
this?
Walking Dead, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
Right.
right. But yeah, you guys were talking about that. I forgot I had this up there still. That this is one of
Yeah,
those
yeah,
ones
no,
that's in the
it's fucking-
rotation. I look for pencils.
They also
there's
fucking
so much
beast,
character in it. I know.
Fucking crazy shit.
Now I have a question for everybody. You've seen this movie, okay? And it's just this. If you didn't know what the name of the movie was, you had no clue. You watched it from beginning to end. You know the plot, the story. You've seen it all.
Yeah.
What would you actually name the movie
Oh, that's a good question.
if you didn't know that the name of the movie was They Live?
Probably call it
I don't
Invasion,
know.
even though
Stay.
they've already,
All
like,
out of bubble gum.
Oh, out of bubble gum. Yeah, Attack of the
There it
Bubble
is.
Gum. Yeah.
Pete's
I
got
would have called
I'm with
it
Pete on
blind
that one.
control.
Yeah, Blind Control's good.
Well, you know what's interesting also about They Live is that it's not about an alien invasion. The alien invasion.
They're
is
here.
already
They're
happened.
running the thing.
Yeah.
They're running the show.
Blind control. That's what I'd have called it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the fight's over. The fight's been over. And
It's not an
I think that's
invasion, it's
also
a
one of the
subversion.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also one of the things that people really connect with, right? It's just
Gotta
like
have
the
a catchy
war with the
title.
ruling class. It's just like the class war. That's been over for a long time too. Guess what? We lost.
I'm still fighting.
We won.
I'm still
But-
fighting to be on the winning side.
Hmm. Well, the
You are on
fight
the winning
never
side.
ends. You got to.
Oh.
You got to go out
Right.
like Roddy. You got to go out like Keith David. You got to go out with your guns blasted.
Well, dude, I was thinking about
these
Carpenter
days,
too.
possibly very literally.
These movies,
Matt, you
most
were
of these
saying?
movies are horror movies, man. I'll say about like Carpenter, all of his movies, like and like a Lovecraft novel, you know, they're all filled with dread and like you know, even if the main character wins, you know,
Yeah.
he still doesn't win 100%. He doesn't sail, you know, he doesn't ride off
Right.
into the sunset with the princess in a beautiful
You're like
castle.
in the mouth of madness, man. You ever see
Yeah,
that?
or The Thing,
Oh yeah.
That
or
was, I
Escape
think,
from
the
New York,
third
Escape from
movie
L.A.
they
You
made.
know, Big Trouble in Little China. You got that monster on
Yeah,
the
but
back of the.
it's-
You know, every single
Ooh.
freaking movie. There's always some form of dread. You know, they're all the
Escape from New
movies
York and
are horror
Escape
movies.
from Escape from
I
New
think-
York and Escape from LA are descriptive of what's happening. Even The
100%.
Thing, knowing that it's a remake, you kind of know that it. I mean, it's like the Thing.
It felt
But
like
the
Big
original
Trouble in Little-
story was called what, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's not going to sell. You can't call it that and expect people to understand, what
think-
it is.
I think
No,
Big
well,
Trouble
the
in Little
original
China.
story
He was leaving it open for a
The
sequel.
Thing was Who Goes
think
There?
so?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Joseph, John W. Campbell.
Yeah.
Which I recommend, by the way, is
Yeah.
is actually worth checking
made a
out.
couple
and that's
sequels
what
to
was so cool about that remake of The Thing was that it wasn't so much a remake of the Howard Hawks movie. It was a new adaptation of the short story that inspired the Howard Hawks movie.
So you can't even really call it a reboot.
No, not really. You'd call it like a new
Well,
adaptation.
a reboot would assume that there's going to be something after it, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like if it's already based on like a novel or a play or something
Yeah.
like that, then it's just a new adaptation,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to just like remaking movies, or in some cases, remaking movies like just to have them in English, right? Which is like a thing you don't see that as much these days anymore. But
I
you
really
know,
like
there's a
that,
remake
actually.
of an American remake of The Ring. There's two remakes of The Grudge.
Yeah, a lot of the
Right,
Japanese horror.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather
Yeah,
have
and
it
then
dubbed.
also
maybe.
like worst of all, Let the Right One be right.
Yeah.
It's like a masterpiece. It's just like, oh well, we're just gonna
Shot for shot
remake it
almost.
just to have it in English.
Yeah.
Or Wreck.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I
they remade
still
that as Quarantine. It's just like it's that's
yeah,
the
but
shit
there's
that
there's no reinterpretation or anything like that. There's no. I didn't feel like there was much of a unique spin to either one of those. Let the Right One in. They're just like it's the English version, and Wreck is the English. Quarantine's the English version of Wreck. But it's still like They Live makes it sound like a horror movie when it's
well, it's a science
not.
fiction
It was-
Good name.
satire.
It's a
It's
good
a
name
science
too.
fiction
It's real
satire.
catchy.
Well, it's a good name to. If I want to buy tickets to a horror movie, and I see the name of the movie is They Live, I'm going to buy tickets to it. But when I'm done watching that movie, I don't feel like I came away watching a horror movie.
Right.
That's all I'm
Like,
saying.
well,
It's like-
too,
and that's
is
not.
you
It's not a
look-
dig. I feel like I'm not really
No,
like
not at all.
digging at.
Do you have a title for it? Did you think of one?
Oh no, I'm still trying to think.
Yeah,
It's tough.
I'd be there all
Yeah.
day.
Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
no, I'd be
it's
It's like
Yeah,
my
like
brain populated
Alien-
invasion. Even though there's no
Alien
invasion,
Riot,
it's like way past it.
it's like the protest of the aliens.
I like Pops'
but not
name
really.
first, like just
Stand
for, like,
on
like,
line,
Pops.
blind control, man. That's
Yeah.
that's what it was until the glasses.
Yeah, that was
Until
a
the
good one.
glasses. Everybody was blindly under control.
Blind
The
control.
glasses is a good one too.
No,
No, I
they
know, but-
absolutely are. Matt,
You know, guys, I gotta get going right now.
Soon. What was that?
Yeah, I gotta
All
get
right,
going.
man.
I got Hojo coming on.
Matt has
But,
a show to
nice
do.
meeting all you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
You're a busy
No, they
cat.
had to work.
Take it
Pete,
easy,
Pop,
brother.
ID,
Much love,
Doc.
Matt.
See you guys. Thank you.
See you
Take
later,
it easy,
brother.
brother.
Peace out.
Yeah, Matt has to go to work because we got to have a show to put up on Saturday night. You know, come on.
Come on.
Let's take another look at Pete's campaign before we peace out.
Yeah.
And then we also got to start thinking about what we're
I don't
gonna
have
watch
it up.
next.
You want to pull it up? I don't have it up. Pull up his
Oh,
alternate site instead this time.
Let me see.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's
What I
let's
got
look at the
going
other
on.
place
Oh, no,
the
yeah,
stuff
that is
is
a good
available. Right?
Let me
We
see.
full service over here, right, Pete? We got you.
We try, man. Here we go.
Yeah, if you want to go right to it, just alternatecomics.com/KingCryptid.
Yeah.
But you can get to it from alternatecomics.com too.
Hi, just
Right.
go.
And there are other alternate comics too, by the way.
Oh, hey, what's up, Jessica? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming on.
Let me see. There we go. All right, hold on. Am I boomering this? Yes, I am slightly boomering.
Is
There we
it
go.
cooperating? There it is. Yeah.
Nice looking site, by the way.
Thank you.
It is fairly smooth, straightforward.
Yeah.
Pete's not a novice at this. He's a 12-year pro.
No, I've noticed that.
I'm curious. I mean, as far as the site goes, did you You didn't put that together yourself, did you? Because if you
Oh,
did,
yeah,
you're
yeah, I run this.
Superman.
Yeah, I run the site.
No, I know you run the site. Did you build it?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Well,
for some reason that doesn't surprise me.
It's
Dude, I'm
on
just
Wix
saying.
though, so it's not like it's pretty easy with the site builder on there.
No, okay, all right.
But yeah.
Drag
I
and
keep
drop
no-
and
I keep meaning to.
But yeah, you
create a
still
site.
gotta
It's so great to have ones where people
put
can just
everything
go
there.
and get your shit.
yeah.
You
Well, I
still
mean,
have to maintain it, huh, Pete?
I
Still
had
Oh,
have to
yeah.
maintain
well
it.
that
Yeah.
in something this vast, that's got to be a
What's up, Hex?
How many hours a day?
Hex,
What's up, Hex?
love Hex.
Like I mean, like I had done mine over again and over again, and every time I went to redo it, I felt like I was knocking the rust off and had to relearn everything that I knew. And then finally, I was just like, somebody else, you know.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Somebody that I
That's what I'm
knew.
gonna do. I'm gonna
Yeah,
It does
find,
take a
either
while.
pay somebody or beg somebody.
Yeah, no,
a
right.
barter, man, work and trade. I restored a
There you go.
Yamaha. I restored a Yamaha guitar, and he did my site. And it was just like, put something together that I can, where it's like an easy WordPress site.
Oh,
You
and
know,
then
it's a WordPress. It's WordPress. There's a template, and it's easy for me to upload images and change things around.
And then
But,
Preston and me, we need to
they did a really
put
good
our shit
job.
also on the Inkslate site, T-shirts and shit.
Mm.
Actually, man, one of the first things I got to do once I'm fully settled here in my new crib is I gotta invest in a 3D printer. Start
You
making
need to
those.
invest in some
Mm.
shelves for that room because I don't see any toys hanging out behind you.
Dude, all my
Yeah.
toys are
Anytime.
locked up.
I know.
Man. They're imprisoned. They're all in a storage unit that belongs to somebody who is a hoarder, and I'm probably never seeing any of that shit again.
Oh,
which
please don't
makes
say
me,
that.
Like, glad I gave us more. I wish I'd given more of that shit away. Because
Are you serious?
I'm never gonna see that shit. Yeah, but we'll see. I don't know.
Don't say that. That's weird. Don't say that you're not losing your toys.
Very likely. Yeah.
Are you
And
serious?
My swords too. No wait, my swords are in another friend's
I can't.
storage unit. Those
Stop
I'm gonna get
talking.
for sure. No.
Stop
I
talking,
gotta
man.
be
That's too
strapped
much
for
work
when
and
the zombies
investment. What are
come.
you talking about?
Causing deep
Shall see.
psychological trauma here.
Yeah, seriously. Like you're losing.
I know.
Now you don't have your swords, which means you
That's
definitely
how I
have
am.
no way to get your toys back. Swords is
That's
what's
what
going to
I'm
get your
saying,
toys
dude.
back.
I'm looking for some fucking pity here. I'm looking for some fucking sympathy.
I
You know?
got some pity for you. I'll come help you. I'll come help you go over there and unload that storage right back up over and take it right over to your new apartment.
Man, we got
okay?
crowbars. We got bolt cutters.
I have a friend that might be able to help me finesse the whole thing. You know, because the problem is the guy has Asperger's, and people with Asperger's, you know, they're on the autism spectrum.
They're
And
in
so
the
they can be
pastels.
very kind of mercurial, or they're like they're difficult to figure out and kind of finesse, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
kind of. They have their own way of doing things, and
Sure.
if you don't approach them in the right way, they just shut down and become non-communicative and shit like
Yeah,
that.
well, if
So
they
you
don't
don't
have
think
your
like a-
stuff, I'm gonna shut them down.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Don't
like, you don't
matter.
the proper approach is to try to get them to figure you out.
I know. No, well, that's that. You know that.
You
was
got to
my
use some of
problem.
that
I was too nice. It
Asperger's
would've been like,
jujitsu.
Yeah, I just turned that right on around. Y'all don't want to know what happens when my Asperger's kicks
Right.
in. Where's my stuff?
Right.
So, you know,
So
you're
yeah,
going to be hard to
everybody-
deal with. You're going to go away over in that corner. Then I'm just going to open this door and take all my stuff.
Well, that's the problem is it's behind like a mountain of like literal garbage.
Yeah, I said I'd help
Right?
you
'Cause I
move
had
it.
to move my shit to make room for his shit. Because it was just like the place was getting too loaded up with like his garbage. So I had to start moving shit out. And you know, I knew he wasn't gonna move his shit, so I had to move my shit. So
You know,
now
this
his
sounds
shit is
like
moved, all my shit's like behind a mountain of like literal garbage.
Yeah,
This
Y'all
I'll
got
sounds-
too
help
much
you.
shit between
This-
between the two
We'll
of you.
move all
I
that
was
shit
gonna
right
say,
on out of there.
This
There's some
sounds like
fly
your
shit
next.
in there,
It
too,
sounds like your
man.
next campaign. Help Brian get his toys back.
I got a shovel. I got a shovel. We can go. You just go move all that
We
garbage
got
right out.
dollies. We got shovels, dollies. I
I wish I'd given more of that shit away. But
Not a
we'll
real
see.
one, you know.
We'll
Like,
see.
one-
But folks, as you can see, you
I'm
can,
brokenhearted. I'm brokenhearted, Brian.
the new King Cryptid at on Indiegogo, which we covered before, and the link should be somewhere in the chat or the description. Or you can go directly to Alterna Comics, the Alterna site, and get that and a bunch of other cool shit.
And don't forget that new alternate coins thing that Pete just came up with. That Dave was just talking about.
Oh yeah, the rewards program
Oh, yeah,
that we
check
have
that
now.
out.
Yeah, so if you sign up on the site, it's free to do so. Become a site member. You can keep track of your orders and things like that too. You get 100 bonus Alterna coins for signing up. 100 Alterna coins, you could trade that in for a 10% coupon, but you can also earn more and more Alterna coins with every purchase, and
Yes.
you can get a 50% coupon even too.
If you're already a site member, did you automatically get 100 coins?
Yeah, so there's not a way to do that automatically, but with the next purchase that's made, you get 100 put into your account within the next 24 hours. So,
Alright.
yeah, that's the only way to do
Man,
that. I wish it could just go in there and just dump in 100 coins for everybody, but it won't let that. It won't let that happen, unfortunately.
That's a question you're only going to get from a site member.
Yeah. But yeah, so the next time you do place an order, you're gonna get that 100 bonus within the day.
Oh, I'm signing up for that shit for sure.
Yeah.
See, folks, very easy to sign up
Look at
to.
that. That's how you do it.
Yep, nice,
Press one for English.
nice and simple. So
Yeah,
don't
it's
be like,
super easy to sign up, and then if you sign up even too for our newsletter, which is a separate thing, you also get sent a 10% coupon too. So we're just giving you our comics are probably some of the most affordable in the world.
Oh, they are.
And
they
but
are.
we're still finding ways to save people's little bit of coin here and there.
In this economy, I can't imagine how you're doing it.
I'm not hearing the salesman aspect of it. You should be like, this is crazy, Pete.
No.
Sign up now.
Hey, everybody should be like, stay with me.
well, it's like Preston was talking about this, saying like, you know what we should do? We should start doing newsprint, and then like try maybe like dollar stores or something like that. I mean, I don't know. No, I mean, none of us know.
Yeah, it's
where-
it's tough. Retail's a nightmare.
Is it
To make it worth it to go into retail with a dollar book, you're gonna have to probably print about 10,000 copies,
Mhm.
and for that purchase order to come through a large retailer or even like a Dollar Tree type retailer, you're gonna really need a good system in place to establish with that distributor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's
Well, you would
because
know.
we were on newsstand even for a while too, and people always like get back to newsstand. Comics got to get back there, and we were on there, and the best thing newsstand was a money pit for advertising, because for sales it's horrible because there's no accountability and it's full returnability. We were getting back reports where they were in the negatives. And eventually we just left. So basically, if we sent them like 3,000 copies, we would get back a return over the course of a year. They're supposed to stop after 3 months, but we would still be getting returns being reported back to us a year later. And it would go to like 3,021. And I'm like, we only sent 3,000. Why are we getting back reports of 3,021 returns?
What?
You know, so they don't do, and they don't do this anymore where they rip off the cover, they do anything like that, or they
Right.
have some proof of
Yeah,
return. They
that's-
scan it. They scan the
Oh,
barcodes,
no,
and then they're
that's not
supposed to
cool.
be on the honor system of dumping the magazines.
But they
And
don't.
so yes, but they don't.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, what they'll do is they'll get lazy about it, and God forbid you've got a book that's like $4.99, and then you got other books that are like $1.99, and they go ahead and scan $4.99 like 20
Over and over
times.
again. Yeah.
So then you get screwed on your cover price returns, and then you end up owing the distributor money. The whole thing became like this big, horrible mess. The distributor was non-communicative after a while, and I eventually was like, I haven't heard from you guys for 2 months. We're not sending anything to you, and I'm not paying anything that you send to us because this is ridiculous. And that was like November 2019, and we just got out of the system. But there's a lot of different avenues.
It's a long
where,
way of saying been there, done that.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different avenues that would be great, but those avenues are just they're burned to hell and back. I mean, we got into Toys R Us and we did like a product placement promotion for just Christmas before they went under, it was really weird talking to Toys R Us and them being so happy about getting comics to put at the register that they felt were truly all ages, because it was so difficult for them to get a hold of all ages comics to put in that position. And the comics did well there, and we still actually even have some readers because of it. But the thing is that what happened back in the day when so many publishers left abruptly, and they left newsstand in the lurch essentially, and crippled a lot of those distributors and a lot of the newsprint printers and all that. It caused like a chain reaction domino effect when they went to the direct market. It burned a lot of those companies really bad. And so trying to get into them now, the biggest hurdle that we had was they had nothing to compare it with. So they were looking and comparing it with like newspapers and magazine sales, and that stuff isn't the same kind of concept of comics. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
That's the main
not
thing
the
I
same
seen with
market.
that Walmart deal that happened with the red chicken. And
The red chicken.
Yeah. And
like I was
Allegiance,
like, that's the worst deal ever.
Man.
What are you guys talking about?
They-
You're in
they
a
should have
giant
put-
store
that
and you
the-
got this one
red
display.
they
this
shouldn't have done
big.
the display. They should
I
have
was
went
like-
right to the pocket placement at the register, because then they at least
Exactly.
would have got eyes on it.
And you
You
would have
know.
got the impulse buy. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody goes through the register. Only the people that want to go back into the books go back in the books.
Yeah,
But-
and most people aren't going to go over there for comics because there's no
No.
other comics over there. You know?
And that's
they're gonna
another
go over
thing,
there
too,
for-
is
they're
that-
gonna go over there for the
That's what I
latest
So
Joey
unless
P.
you're going to
Coe
sink in like $1 million into marketing that you have your comics in those
Yeah.
stores, it's
Right.
it's
Right.
a complete, it's just DOA.
Plus,
Right, nobody
Marvel
goes
and
to
DC
Walmart
already had
comics,
those
is what I
register
was
spots
thinking.
like taken. You know, there was no.
Well,
getting
even
those
Marvel,
registers.
well, even DC was
Yeah.
stupid with putting those into Walmart and not
Thanks for
putting them
showing up,
at the
expert.
register. They should have put those at the register too, instead of the specialty item area, because a lot of people didn't know
Oh
where
yeah,
to
you're
find
right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
bigger
they're over
DC
there where the
books.
Pokemon cards and shit are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
If
should have purchased
Marvel
a pocket
had put-
placement.
If Marvel had put cheap reprints of their old comics,
Them 25-cent books.
right at
Mhm.
the supermarket checkout when the Marvel movies came out.
Yeah,
This
the
would be
True Believers line,
really
all of those,
good.
totally.
Those
Yeah,
Because now you're
get them into
counting
Five
all-
Below, get them into Dollar Tree. They
think
could
of all
have.
the new
would've been a
readers
different
that you're
ball game.
gaining.
Yep.
Those new readers, you're going to gain all those new readers that you didn't know you had before because Billy was whining about wanting something from Walmart,
Dude, them
and Mom
25-cent
gave up
books
at the register.
were a steal. They were a steal. They were great to get kids into comics. 25
Well, that was my point about the dollar
go in
store
there and
too.
come
Is
out with
that
$5 worth of books. That's a lot of. That's
Yeah,
a stack of books.
In theory, it's great. It's a great idea. It's just in execution to do it, you've really got to be in a position where you can just kiss 50 grand goodbye.
Well, you're talking
Exactly.
about
You know.
Marvel.
Preston, I mean,
We're
And
talking
that's
about
nothing for like those big companies to
We're
do.
talking
And
about Marvel. And those
but yeah,
25
but on the
books.
indie level, that could just completely
You
to,
guys
crush
to
were
it.
in-
Preston's point, the dollar store is a great idea, but you still have to put it in that same location that you would in a Walmart up by the register where
it'd be
everybody's
way
gonna see
cheaper
it.
at the dollar store than it would over at Walmart.
Right,
We still
or
have
because
to come up
you
with
know
that
there's
price
you
point.
you know there's going to be Marvel stuff in the
You still
stickers
have
and
to
all
come
the
up
other
with the
crap.
price
Yeah.
point that the dollar store
Well-
can deal with, because the dollar store is expecting to be able to sell them really cheap. So you got to be able to give them to them really
Yeah.
cheap. which
Well,
means,
that's
like,
that's the
pizza.
part
It's
that
a
sucks
25
about
cent
the
service.
distributors is because you'd have to broker that deal on your own, so you'd have to facilitate all the different things involved. But that's what sucks about comic distribution is that the footprint keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because they want like a Dollar Tree, let's say, to bend to the will of looking at the previews catalog, which is like, are you serious? Get the hell out of here. No retailer is going to do that. So you got to present them with the product and make it that this is the product we're soliciting and we're selling to you guys, and that's it. You know, but they don't want to do that. I even talked to Geppy one time when he was on Billy Tucci's show, and he has no idea even that there were books that were $1. He's like, I don't think they could make comics for that. And I'm like, there's a True
They're
Believers
already
line,
made,
there was the
that's the
DC
point.
Essentials line, there were Image First, there was Alterna Comics. It's like there's all these books that had all these publishers that had dollar books that could have been expanded into different avenues of Dollar Tree, Five Below, Dollar General, Family Dollar, et cetera, et cetera. So, but it's just they don't want to do those deals. And lo and behold, why is the industry suffering? It's because it's all pinpointed right to the distributor. And then you get the retailers that are set up the way that they're set up. And most of them, unfortunately, are not set up in a way that makes it great to just go in there and shop for stuff, You have to know what you're looking for specifically, and then that's it. You're not really going to have an easy time discovering something new because they're not putting their stores so you can go to a genre or anything like that and find something new. You have to know what you're looking for already. And if
See, I've
that's the
always
case,
said-
might as well order online direct.
I've
So
always
that's what I
said
always
Pete,
sucked about
Pete
the whole
knew,
cola
like,
thing.
is a genius
was
when
like,
it comes
no,
to
you want
this
to go to the comic book store and pick up the stuff you're expecting to pick up, like, oh, the new Daredevil or whatever is out, right? And then also the other shit, right? Because you're going to grab the stuff that you normally grab, but then also there's the discovery, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what's this? Well, let me check this out, right?
I have a question. What about this? I mean, if we're trying to, I don't know about everybody, but
Well, collectively, yeah.
the new stuff sucks. The old stuff, you were talking about reprinting them and selling them for cheap. If you want to get
Not
if
easy.
you want to get those books sold, get two markets at the same time. Put out the books that, however old we all are
Right.
reprinted, put back out on the rack, and now you're not just seeing if the kid wants to buy a comic book, but the parent is buying the comic book and probably buying that comic book for the kid. And
Well, yeah,
it's
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and it's
the
old
kid would've been
Superman,
like
it's
Captain
old
America,
Batman,
Iron
it's
Man.
old
They would've
Daredevil,
bought
it's
that
all the old
$100.
stuff. It's
You
all the
know
old
what?
stuff.
Well,
that
I mean,
hasn't-
honestly, the
it's
bigger
all the old stuff
publishers
that
right
hasn't
now,
been contaminated by
the big
woke
two should
crap.
just stop. They should just stop dead in their tracks with anything new, period.
Right,
They should
yes.
just be going into the evergreen nature of reprinting, reformatting,
Exactly.
getting stuff out. It is not helping their cause with their IP value to
Yeah.
keep putting out garbage from creators that are consistently divisive and consistently going after customers when they don't support the books, because it doesn't matter if there's a million customers that would want this book. The distribution and retail system is so broken. But instead of acknowledging that, they go, "Oh, it's the customers that are obviously bigoted or this or that or whatever." You could have the greatest comic ever made in the history of comics come out right now. It doesn't matter. That comic is going to still struggle to have relevancy because the
It
system
depends
is
where you put it.
broken.
It
Yeah.
depends where
Yeah.
you don't put it in the comic book store. Do what Preston was
Well,
saying. Do
Yeah.
what you were
Well,
saying. Put
another
put
thing
the
too
old
is-
stuff for cheap in a dollar store. Put it for cheap.
You're
in
better off
Walmart.
going to a
Don't even-
crowdfunder and
Exactly.
having success through that. And that's just a screaming indictment that you can have comics that go to crowdfunding and do sales that they would never dream of hitting
I know.
through distribution. That shouldn't
I
be
know.
a thing. If
I
you make
know.
like 20 or 30 grand, let's say, even on a crowdfunder, you should be
Yeah.
thinking you go to distribution and make like 100 to 200 grand with the avenues of sale that you're getting to at that point in time. And your economy of scale goes like through the roof because you're printing so many more. So you're making more per book. The whole industry should be flourishing, but it's completely and utterly broken. And instead of focusing on how all these things are broken and all the fixes that need to take place, and there's work that needs to take place, everyone in the industry wants to play the blame game, and it all trickles back down to the customer, that it's all the customer's fault, which is utter
Oh, yeah,
bullshit.
yeah, yeah.
Even
Well,
the
another
90s,
reason-
the 90s collector bubble burst is like, oh yeah, the
Right.
collectors just decide to just not buy comics anymore, right? So blame it on the customer. Don't blame it on the publisher with the gimmicks and the
Right.
crap and the retailers taking advantage of the situation. No, blame it on the
No.
customer.
Plus, another reason they should take a break is people need a break from epic storylines. You know what I'm saying? World-ending storylines are just
Yeah.
too. Where do you go from
Tell-
there? There's
tell a
nowhere to
story.
go. You know,
Yeah.
you just like they
Well, that's
need to
what I
give
mean,
the
though, like
fans
the-
a break from that shit.
Final crisis for real this time.
Everything's a
You
final
know?
crisis, though. That's the
We
problem.
mean
You
it
know what I'm
this time.
saying?
This is
Like,
the end.
That's what I mean.
Last
though.
time we're
Don't-
doing this.
You don't need
Yeah.
to tell. You don't need to tell any news stories. You just need a collection of some of the good old ones, and you got to put them in places where
Yep.
the parents
Well,
and the
yeah,
kids
it's too
are.
late for that now,
It's
though.
it's the
too
final
late for
crisis,
that.
or
If
it's
they
a
had done
trip
that,
through the.
Why is it
bedroom.
too late?
Like,
What-
when
why-
this came out? Oh my god!
Why is it too late for that?
Everything is a
Well,
final crisis, or
let's
it's a
put it
trip
this
through
way.
somebody's bedroom or
If-
their
Here's
love
what the movies
love interest or whatever.
If those
it is.
publishers wanted to do that, they would have done it already, because
Yeah.
it's the
They don't-
obvious move, and they don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talk about like,
Do you
so
think
when
they're going to piss off somebody that they haven't pissed off already?
They've
well,
already
not
lost
that.
us, dude. So they're not
They-
trying to cater to us. They're
yeah,
not trying-
whoever's in charge of getting that stuff out there, doesn't care to exploit the comic side of the business. And even if they did,
Clearly.
you look at the way the merchandising is set up. Merchandising revolves around the classic, iconic interpretations largely of those characters. But then
Okay.
the books aren't set up that way. The books they barely resemble the iconic nature of the characters. So you can't even have the merchandising department go in there and say, let's put the comics with the merch, because it doesn't, one hand's not washing the other. So whoever is in charge of the comics division or overseeing how that's going, obviously it's being set up that this is just to stir the pot, and they view it as the negative attention, whatever it is that they're getting, or they can pander to people with it and place it under the guise of, oh yeah, we care about social issues and people and this and that. They don't care about crap. They care about money, and they care about painting a picture of certain
I don't even
things.
think they care about money. Otherwise,
then-
they'd be making
They
it.
don't.
Well, they care about money
Movies are
because they
money.
care about the ESG score that they
The
need.
movies
Oh, that's right.
Which
I
gets
know
them the
that,
money.
but
Yeah.
That's
The
why they have
movies
to
are
have
the
all the
money.
political shit. This is why
That
they
made
basically
me-
let
that-
cultural vandals
that actually made me switch
come
my
in
bank.
and actually run the
Yeah.
fucking
Look,
store.
the comics in the beginning sold the movies, right? And then they tried to like use the movies to sell comics to a new
Well,
generation.
you notice the movies
Yeah,
that
but
were
that's not the
successful
kid-
were based on
Not
old
working.
stories that
The
were
reason
done.
that doesn't work though is because the
Yeah.
comic they're trying to sell doesn't resemble the movie.
Well, the
I don't
movies,
know.
the
It-
successful
it-
movies are
why-
based on a cosmic
That was
cube.
the other big thing. They lost the old fans that would have come back, right? The old fans are like, you know what? I haven't read a comic in like 20 years, but damn, that Iron Man movie was dope. Let me go to that's right. There's a comic book store I pass every now and then. Let me go in there. I'm like, what? Iron Man's a 15-year-old black girl? Oh, fuck that.
Yeah,
What about
yeah.
Thor? I love me some Thor. Let's see what Thor is up to. Thor is shit. Okay, fuck Thor. The Hulk. Oh, let's see what Dr. Bruce Banner built it like. Who the fuck is Amadeus Cho? That, so that was the other audience, because you weren't going to get fans
Which
of the
doesn't
movies
exist.
to go and buy the comic books, but you were going to get some of the old fans to come back, and they blew that too.
They blew that.
Am I the only
We blew
one
that
here? Am I the only one on the panel beside Pops? You have kids.
I have a kid and grandkids.
You have a kid and grandkids. I've got kids.
That's
Anybody
fine.
else? Anybody else got kids? Okay, you
I
got
got
you
kids.
got kids. How often does your wife, significant other, whatever, go to the dollar store for
Oh, we're
decorations?
divorced. Is that still a thing? Or
You understand how women shop. You know they go to the dollar store for like decorative paper plates for birthday parties and shit like that. And there's always going to be a Spider-Man themed.
I get
Whatever.
that. I think that's good for bringing new fans in, but like people saying, like it's a lot of headache for a little bit of cut. You know what
Do you
I'm
think
saying?
it's do you think it's like
Well,
that little bit of cut, or do you think
Are
it's
you
like
are you
planting a
saying
seed?
that the bigger companies should get into the dollar store with their comics, or are you saying that the indie should get into the dollar store with their comics?
Indie
because-
shit.
I'm saying that
Because
they
if the indies do, this is the part that the indies never think of. It doesn't matter about the product you're selling. It matters about who knows about the product that you're selling.
that's I'm not
Yeah.
saying
That's
I'm not
that's
saying
like
you- 90%
of the equation.
Yeah.
So that's
My
why when you
thought
get into
process is this,
retail,
is that
you got to
if you
have
got
that
kids-
marketing in there.
and your kids are like, "Mom, I want this toy. I want this toy," and that toy's $10, and they're like, "Well, what about this comic?"
Yes, yes,
And it does-
exactly.
They don't care
But-
what the comic's about as long as the character attracts the kid, and the kid's like,
But
"Fine, I'll
that
take that."
comic,
You know?
if you want to seed a generation of fans, and you want to give them a good story, you want to give them a good character. Well, those aren't being written, but they were written in the
Exactly.
past.
Well,
Reprint that good shit and
I
put
know-
it there with
like, I
the
know-
birthday. Put it there with the
What they're
Spider-Man
trying to
birthday
sell.
plates.
Well, I know
I think-
Marvel and DC like pulled their comics out of drugstores back in the day because they thought they were losing too much money. But I think when they did that, they made it a specialty item, and they also lost a lot of future
Exactly.
fans.
Yeah,
by
well,
doing that.
grading
Yeah.
made it a
That was
specialty
the
item
beginning
too.
of the end.
Grading
I'm
gave
not even
every
saying, like, you
comic
don't even
the
have to make
opportunity
the
be
comic
worth
book.
$1 million.
You don't even have
Grading and speculating had a lot to do with ruining the comic industry.
Oh, I like grading now. Like,
Right,
I like
but
looking at my
the-
comic
Grading's
stuff.
great
They
for an
would-
old
I
comic,
mean,
but
look,
not for something that just
that's
came off the
because-
freaking press.
Look,
They
No,
were targeting.
absolutely not.
They were
Absolutely.
targeting it.
Probably
They were
have in
targeting at
common
different
are
markets.
these
Man,
really
I'm talking
fond
about.
memories of being
Well-
a little kid and going to the corner store with a fistful of change.
Yeah.
right? And walking out with a fat stack
Yeah.
of books.
But I
Well,
want
the
to
thing is,
point something out. to
Grading and
everybody in this-
speculating
Saw.
actually is better when they're on the newsstand because there's
Yeah.
the condition factor actually becomes a factor at that point. When they're in
You
the
guys are
specialty
thinking-
shop,
You're thinking
That's
like
different.
comic book
For us,
collectors.
it's like you
Um,
roll up
I'm
the
not-
comic,
I wanna
but
point
yeah,
something out,
when
though.
it comes to the reprints, they're not. It's the obvious answer. Every single person
Yes.
says that they're obviously not doing it because
They
they
don't
don't want to do it. Period.
No,
That's it.
you're
I want to
thinking
point something out.
comic
Like
book
everybody on
collectors.
this
I'm not-
panel can speculate, but Pete actually does it. You
No,
know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
that.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not
No,
like-
I
There's
understand
only
that,
one
but you're-
person with experience in all of this, and
You're
Pete
thinking
actually
like
had his
comic-
books in Publix.
You're
Yeah.
thinking like comic book
Yeah, yeah.
collectors. I'm not thinking like a comic book collector. I'm thinking.
No, I'm not
about-
thinking like a collector. I'm thinking like a publisher. I'm thinking like a
Right.
publisher, and I'm thinking like someone who runs these businesses and was in those avenues and talked to the people that ran those companies and those distribution centers. And those people were burned by comics. Those people do not have a good taste in their mouth for comics. Those people had comics in Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, Publix, Sheets, all kinds of other places. Even Five Below had a bunch of those Star Wars comics when Marvel put them out. But Marvel did not give a crap to promote that they were in those stores.
Right.
And that also pissed off those stores. Like the publishers, every aspect of the comic industry in some way, shape, or form is relatively self-defeating because they're all expecting success to just kind of be there based on the back of the brand and the character. But because of the character and the brand that they keep on flushing down the toilet, they're not seeing that success. So
See,
it's
it
kind of
is-
like this rinse, repeat, constant thing. And then the way to get
Yeah.
relevancy back is to create drama and create this kind of pandering system. And then
Marvel
also
and
it's a
DC used to
two-sided thing.
sell-
The ESG factor does kick in because they're getting money based on that subsidized from
the
the
brand used to
Vanguard,
sell
BlackRock,
stuff.
I wonder,
etc.
how do they survive? Like, how are they even?
ESG.
how
Because
can
they're
they
not-
store DC in a Marvel
If
comic?
Marvel and DC were just Marvel and DC and they were just comic companies, they'd
would-
probably be doing something different to survive. Otherwise, they'd
Yeah.
be
Correct.
gone. And they probably would have been gone, just like how Marvel went bankrupt and then everything they did wrong in the 90s, just like all of this stuff goes back decades. This has nothing to do with something that happened 5-10 years ago. We're seeing a last gasp effort. People go, oh well, you get woke, go broke. No, you went broke, and that's now why you're going woke, because you're trying to get a new audience because you spurned your old audience so
Yeah.
badly because you screwed up. So now it's like, well, let's change our brand identity and let's make it a lifestyle thing.
Is
Let's
that a pet?
cater
Right.
to this, that, or the other thing. So
Right.
the reason they don't want to go into certain stores and they don't want to do certain avenues of sale is
Right.
because they're not actually legitimately trying to grow that brand.
That's
It's
my-
not
Can I say
about
one
that.
thing? Can I
Yeah.
say one thing, guys? When the DC brand can't sell a book, it's crap. When the Marvel brand can't sell a book, it's crap. If it was any good, none of this would be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, well, and then you throw in various copywriting issues, various trademarking things occurring with different estates and things like that are occurring where they have to constantly now create a new character based on the derivative of the original to keep
Right.
everything current and new. You get these things occurring where it's like, okay, we'll take Superman and make him gay, make him this, make him that. Every single thing is treated like the superficial quality of a costume is also
And
the
the
skin
brand
color, the
isn't
sexuality, the gender.
Yeah.
And, the
And
brand
it's
isn't selling the book anymore.
and it's
the
yeah,
content
it's
isn't selling the book
horrible
anymore.
surface level crap.
Yeah.
And it's done in a way to try to convince people that this is something that they care about you. They don't care about you. They'll
No.
cancel that book, and it's happened time and time again. They'll cancel that book as soon as no one's showing up for
Well,
it
but
in
they
the way
tried.
of
They
social
tried, they
media
made the
clout.
noble
Well, I
effort.
want to make an announcement too. Like me and Pete are
Please.
working on a King Cryptid book, and
Yes.
it's going to reveal that King Cryptid is actually of two sexes. So, and it's
Hell
one
no,
or
it's
the
not.
other.
But
You
anyway,
mean
we're
like
going to
a
get a huge ESG payment from it.
Right.
It's going to be amazing.
It's a
Your short-
behemoth.
we're gonna
Your
get that
ESG score is gonna
sweet
be
funding.
huge.
Hold up, we're gonna
Yes,
find out.
yes,
That, we're gonna
yes,
find
yes,
out it's a
fucking,
behemoth.
fucking wrong with you?
He's of two spirits. Let's put it that way.
Brian.
He's
Do you have a pet grasshopper or a pet
No,
stink
there's a
bug?
fly though that's fucking around.
Okay. I was gonna
Okay.
like
It's like
Okay,
a
so
ghost.
my the concept was, if you guys go to the private chat, you can see there's a link to like a Party City, right?
Right.
If Marvel actually wanted to plant the seed for like new readers, they would be reprinting books. They don't even have to be big. They could be, just listen for a second, they could be half size. You could a random set of issues and throw them in to any one of these things where you see there's plates, there's cups, Spider-Man themed party.
But they're trying to
Everybody
kill the
gets-
past. Do you
Yeah.
get that
Then,
yet?
yeah, no, that's well. Then they don't
They're
like
not
money.
catering to our age people. ID. They don't.
That's not how they
I
get
know
their
that.
money.
That's
That's the
not-
thing,
I'm
though.
not even saying. I'm not
They're
saying-
they're owned by
I'm
a
not talking
large
about people our
mega
age.
conglomerate.
People our age.
Yeah, but they don't care
have-
about people
Like
our
we're
age
we're
because
thinking
dying
about
out.
it in the terms of what you would do if you ran your own company. And you're thinking about your company and you make comics, you make merch that is
So,
ancillary to that.
You're saying I'm trying to make sense, and that just doesn't exist out
Ex-
there.
Not for
exactly.
nothing.
Well,
Yeah,
not especially not in this instance, because this is a company where they're like a tiny little speck in the portfolio of a mega conglomerate that globally has obligations, and that
And the
they
mega
need
conglomerate doesn't
they need
care
to
if the tiny
push-
little speck makes any money.
they don't they need to push a narrative and let it be that, because if they
Some
go
of the
back
prospects gotta
and
take
they
a walk.
say the stuff that's going to sell is reprinting the past that we just shit all over, and we shit all over
Right.
everyone else who loves that past, and
Yeah.
now we want to push it everywhere so that it sells, and
Right.
it's self-defeating at that
Well, I
point
wouldn't even say
because they're pushing
necessarily
a
that you're-
specific narrative
I wouldn't even
You
say
see, here's the
necessarily
thing,
that you're
you know,
that you're
most
pushing it. You're
artists
just
and writers
sneaking it
aren't
in
been-
because they know the
creating-
current stuff they're making doesn't sell, so they're not
Yeah.
going to get that everywhere.
I'm not
and then
saying I'm
the
not
system
saying push
involved
the
is
past. I'm
broken.
saying sneak it in so that you can actually.
I got a
plant the
better
seed
Yeah,
idea.
but they don't
of
really
new-
care about that.
new
Like, that's
fans.
not.
How
That's
about, how
not
about
in
we
yours.
try, we not try to help figure out how to fix them,
Yeah, no,
and we
right?
fix our own stuff?
Yeah, you're wasting your
Exactly.
breath if you're trying to do that.
Exactly.
I don't give a
Well,
fuck
it's
what
more of
Marvel
a
and DC
brain,
do.
like a brain game
Exactly.
exercise.
They're irrelevant now.
You know,
You know.
No,
the
if
last
anything,
book
I
where
want them to have a
American
quick
comics
and
are gonna come back. It's going to be
Painless
yeah,
death.
I want
Quick and
exactly a
painless
quick and
death.
painless death, and I want
Quick and
retailers to
painless death.
wake the hell up and realize they need to start diversifying the product they carry,
Yeah.
start getting their stores organized, start getting stuff so people can go in there, walk in there, and find something based on what they already know, which is genre. I like horror, I like sci-fi, I like action, I like superheroes, I
Crime.
like adventure, I like crime, I like romance, etc., etc. Literally take a lesson from what's going on
the
with
library.
manga. What
Just
the
like the
library
library.
does. Exactly. The
Yep.
big bookstores, the grocery store. Imagine you go to a grocery store that was set up and run the same way your comic shop is run. Holy shit.
You'd have one. one
You need a
food item.
friggin' phone book
Holy shit.
to order your groceries 2 months in advance.
all the
That
crap
you don't-
stuff could be over
It's
there.
all over the
Right.
place.
We're
There's
like,
no
you know,
actual
go
signage for
go
where
over to
things
Peter's
are.
place, and there's a skeleton with a
Everything would
Holy
be candy
crap.
corn, just
You
with
Couldn't
different
order his
labels on it.
food.
There's there's food from like the 70s rotting in the corner somewhere that would have been worth a lot of money if they
yeah,
actually
you had
set
the
it
best
up.
Food. I wish we could go back there.
You know,
Oh
you
my
walk
God.
into a lot of the shops and they're set up like the most disastrous episode of a hoarders show.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, it's like they're like weird
Yeah.
museums. It's like, do you actually want to sell the stuff that's in
Those
here?
are the old
Ideally, you
comic
should want to
stores.
sell everything in
my
the
local
store.
comic
Dude,
book shop,
the
but they
current
do. They've
comic
got
book
all
stores
the
around me
boxes
don't
on
even sell
one
comics
side.
anymore.
Yeah, and
I
it
got
doesn't
5 comic
need
book
to
stores in
be
my,
that
in my,
way.
In my area, one of them sells American comics, but it's a little dirty corner all the way like the back
Yeah,
of the
and then if
store.
you're making new comics, your whole my life being sucked into 12 years of going into distribution, being dependent upon comic shop retailers to know
Yeah,
how to
you can't
sell
do that.
comics, that was insane. I would never go back. We haven't had that distribution set up in 3 years. The way things are right now, where you can go and sell comics direct, you could set up a website, you could go to crowdfunding, you could promote. There's so many avenues of promotion. Every retailer should have YouTube channels. Every retailer should be taking photos of all of their crap every damn day, posting it on social media, and talking about their store, talking about the books they have. then we wouldn't even need to talk about getting books into a Walmart or a Dollar Tree or whatever, because the hub of comics would truly be the comic shop. But instead, there's so many of them. I interacted with a customer today who's going to buy direct from us because he tried to buy from his local shop, and his local shop says it's too difficult to get Alterna now because we're not in Diamond.
You know,
And they
told
said,
me
but
that
I'm going to
too.
go, yeah. And they said, I'm going to go right to their website, though, and just easily pick out stuff. And you could, he was trying to sell them on the idea that we give a bigger discount direct than they would have got through Diamond, and that you can actually order whenever you want, no minimums, straight from our store and get stuff. And instead, time and time again, the retailers don't want to do that. So it's just one of those things. I'm like, you
just
know what?
wanna
I'm
order
not
from
going to have to
one
care
place.
about that. I got to care about the customer. I got to care about the reader. And if everyone's got to care about that avenue, because if the retailer wants to meet you halfway, great. But if the retailer wants you to beg and be like Oliver Twist and being like, please, sir, take my product for 62% off cover, screw that. You're doing 3 times the work to make a third of the money. Every single distributor out there is not necessary at this point, because you have comic shops that say they're not coming in, they're not getting what we are selling, so we're not going to stock the book. And then I go, well, the thing with that is that you don't stock the book, so that's why the book's not selling in your store. I can't tell you how many comic shop
Sell
conversations
backwards.
I've had, where they're like, well, no one's coming in here to buy it. And I'm like, well, what do you have? We don't stock the book. I'm like, how are they supposed to come in and get the fucking book when you don't have the book?
Pete just said the F word. Oh my God.
I said
he's
fucking.
absolutely right.
I said fucking. But still, it is warranted. Anyway, so the whole thing with that is
friend of
it's
mine that ran a
it's-
comic shop.
Father
It's-
Guido
yeah, the-
Sarducci swore.
the system's got its head up its you know what. And
Well,
it's
but
top
it's
to
like that,
bottom. The publisher has to change its mindset. The retailer has to change its mindset. The distributor has to change its mindset. We have a lot of work to do in the comic industry, but no one wants to do any of that. So therefore, as an independent, if you're outside of that system, thank God you are, because that system is horrible. Horrible. You got to stay outside of it and build something else, and then it'll attract people to it, and then that's the way forward. Because within the system, there's nothing but awful crap.
I can tell you like this. Johnny Reed, he plays in our D&D game tomorrow morning on Friday mornings. He owns a comic store, okay? And I asked him point blank. I was like, Johnny, do you look at the whole Diamond book? He said, hell no.
Yeah.
If
It's
they
impossible.
don't know that your book's in there, if they don't know what page it's on,
Yeah.
they're never going to find it.
And that part of it is not the retailer's fault. It's the distributor's fault, because they need to expand their footprint into selling to different places, so that therefore you can have that spillover where where, like, let's say Diamond took their top 10 sellers and it was just Marvel and DC. Who gives a crap? They go right to the big box retailers and they deal with like 5 of them. Let's say they deal with Target, Walmart, whatever. And then they get those there every month. You're going to have that spillover of people finding these comics and then wanting to go to their local comic shops and seek them out to see what else they have, which is exactly what most of us did for the longest time. But Diamond doesn't want
didn't
to
have
play
comic
that game.
stores
They don't
when I
want to
was-
expand into that avenue, and no other distributor wants to do that either. So you're never going to have that system play out unless you do it yourself. And for you to do that, you have to be very, very wealthy.
Yeah, look,
Which
I
is
did-
at that point you go,
Amazing that, I mean,
might
what
as well
you've
sell direct.
accomplished and the ground that you covered, and the scene is really lucky to have a guy like you that's been there, done that. Because, like I was saying before, like artists and writers, we're not good business people for the most part.
Well, you have
And
to be.
Yeah.
you don't know jack
Well,
shit.
I realized how
Yeah.
ineffective Diamond was in the direct market when in 2012 we had a New York Times bestseller. It didn't do crap on the direct market. Then in 2016 we came out with the film. Roddy Piper was in it. The Chair,
I was
based
just
on my own
watching that. I was
graphic
just
novel.
watching that yesterday. Yeah.
That didn't do crap for comic sales in the direct market. They could care less. Then we had a nationally covered comic graphic novel called Metaphase. The dude was on NBC Nightly News. It was being covered on ABC, CBS, all over the place because it was about his son who has Down syndrome. And the whole comic was basically about this kid who has Down syndrome and his dad's a superhero and the kid wants to be like his dad. So he goes and gets this genetic treatment that alters his DNA and unlocks these insane superpowers.
Huh.
So that made national coverage. It didn't do shit at Diamond. It didn't matter at the comic shop. So you're talking about a New York Times bestseller, a comic based on a film based on a comic, and then a national press
Nationally
coverage
covered. Yeah.
for a diverse comic book, and it didn't matter one lick of sales through the comic shops. Plus, we had 3 books at Free Comic Book Days that sold 40 to 80,000 in quantity, didn't do shit for sales either. There's companies every year that go under from Free Comic Book Day because of the fact that the whole thing is basically it's a clandestine meeting. No one knows who's in the FCBD committee.
Are you talking
it's-
about a market that's just aging out?
No, it's not aging out.
Killing itself.
It's purposefully killing itself
Yeah.
because there's bad purposeful decisions made over and over again at every level that you could make them. And it's just everyone's got their head firmly placed up there, you know what, and they're
Yeah,
focusing
'cause, I
on the
mean,
wrong things.
Not to
When
say
Iron
that
Man
it's
came
been-
out, they had a chance to bring in a new golden age of comics, and they blew
Yeah.
it.
I know.
Well, not
Big
to say that
time.
it's even like remotely the same thing, but like I know a lot of guys that ride. There's Harley and Indian. They're having a hard time getting new riders because there's no market for it. Everything's going electric, and it's not the market that it used to be.
Well, manga and Scholastic are wiping the floor with the American comic industry for one reason and one reason only.
They have
They're-
stories.
Not that. Is they're out there and consistent. Period.
Well,
They're
right,
out
and
there.
they're
You
also
get Scholastic.
they're-
Scholastic is
they're
set up
going for
with
younger readers
placements.
too.
Look,
Well-
it's a
They make
disposable
comics for
medium.
everybody.
It's a
Everybody
disposable
wants an
medium.
escape.
That
That's
was
one
the
thing you
kind of
guys
thing you
forget.
put in your back pocket, like we did comics when I was a kid. It was a disposable medium. It was cheap.
Yes.
There was
Yes.
nothing to it. We read the stories. We gave the book to our friends.
Yep.
Manga is today's comic book. It's a disposable medium. They get it. They put it in their back pocket. They give it to their friends. They pass it around. It's not collectible. You don't put it in a plastic box.
How
Here-
about that?
here's
You
a
seen some of the
question for you
prices
guys
on
real
eBay?
quick. Here's a little question for you. Have you had the experience yet of a millennial picking up like an American comic and being like, why is this the wrong way around?
Are you serious?
Not
I
yet.
haven't had that,
Have
but I
you
can
had
only
that
imagine.
experience yet?
I haven't had that yet.
No.
Because they just think that that's just
We did
what
have,
how
Brian,
comics.
We did
They're
have
supposed
the
to be.
Incantessi #2 printed, like 20 something issues of it were printed backwards like a manga. My
Oh, wow.
granddaughter's fan art was on the last page of the book, but in 21 of the books, her fan art's on the first page of the book because they
Oh,
printed
wow.
it freaking backwards.
That's awesome. That's so cool, fellas. I'm gonna have to tap out.
Yeah, we could talk
Tonight has
about
been
all that.
wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for hanging out. By the way, I just saw.
Thank
the
you for
cherry
having me.
on
Appreciate
Tubi.
Yes, it is.
That
Yeah.
was a good
should've
time,
covered
man.
that.
This is a good stream for sure.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
a lot
Appreciate
of fun.
it, guys. Absolutely.
you bet.
And we appreciate you too, dude. Not just for stopping by, but also just for the fucking shit that you've done, and the fact that you've pioneered space that a lot of us
Well,
never would have.
I'm just
Because,
trying
like
to
I said,
pay
we
it
don't know
forward.
shit from,
There's a lot of kind
about
people
business.
along the way that helped me out too, just with their advice as well. So just keep trying to pay it forward.
Hell yeah,
Right.
hell yeah.
Brian,
That's
I'm
what
gonna
we're
play.
about, man. That's what we're about.
I'm gonna do some
you know?
ads and stuff on the way out. So
Oh yeah,
Don't
yeah.
just
Pops
hit that
is-
button.
Is going to take us out, and yeah. Well, first, obviously, everybody got to pimp their shit.
Oh,
I want to know what those
Where is-
guitars are in the
where is
background. It looks like you got a
Flying
flying
V?
V.
these got
I got-
2 flying B.
I got 2. One of them's I like buying cheap guitars and modding the shit out of them.
What's that one in the middle though? I
Yeah,
painted one of those.
Skillport.
That is a Hard Luck Kings Lady Luck that
Okay.
I had a gut level and change out the
Classic
pickups.
Les
It was
Paul.
just-
I really like that.
the
I
Les
remember.
Paul is actually a Harley Benton. I just got that one. That one's really nice. The
Nice.
the white V is another Hard Luck Kings, and again I had to gut it and I installed the Zach Wild DMG pickups in that one.
Yes.
Oh, nice, sweet.
The V all the way to this
The black
on this
one.
side is a Schecter Hellraiser, and the guy assured me it was stock when I bought it, but it was not. So I had to gut it and put in a set of Fishmans with the push-pull features on it. And those things are insane for metal. And the other white one is that looks like an SG. Isn't an SG. It's a Harley Benton DC custom, and that one's insane too. It's great.
You need to start painting those things, dude.
I was
You're
just gonna
building
say
them.
that, man. Depending on the guitar,
I showed you all my build, the one I built, and that
Yeah,
one
man.
that one was fun, but it still needs work. I don't like the pickups. I have to change that one out.
I'm gonna send you pictures of the stuff I had to
yeah.
do for a guy in the past.
But yeah,
It was nice. It's like, I got to paint this guitar, but then you're going to put he was like a luthier. So when I needed him to finish out the rebuild I was doing for the guy that was doing my site, it was like barter for barter for barter. You know, I'm going to paint this guitar. I had to fix it, like the wood, paint it so that he could do my website. But all his knobs and strings and shit were all nasty. So I gave it to the other guy I was painting his guitars. And it was a nice trade-off. It was a nice love triangle.
I want to show one more
nobody
thing
got a
off,
broken
Brian.
heart.
Cool.
Put
I'm
me
all
back
about
up.
that shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Notice next to the Hellraiser, that picture I got.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to meet, I get to meet wrestlers when I used to do shows and stuff like that. One of my favorites was meeting Jake the Snake, but another one was meeting a one-man gang.
I'm good. I'm
No
good.
shit.
Yeah, man.
That dude is enormous.
Yeah,
And he's
Yeah, you
older and
think?
he's hunched over and he's still enormous. I think he's like 7 feet tall. Like
Oh
he's
my God.
incredibly tall. And yeah, he was a blast. Like what I did was I ignored him the whole show, just like I did with Jake the Snake. And the whole time I'm
Right,
doing a
be
sketch
cool.
of him.
Oh, that's
And at
so
the
cool.
end, I gave him the sketch. And it was like, hey, dude, and like I told him I grew up on him and all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh, that's
It was
awesome.
really cool. But Mondays, the Metal Shop on my channel, Doc Salem on YouTube. So check it out. It's me and Matt
Hell yeah.
doing that. And yeah, so
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. And ID Dave, tell these fools where they can find you.
IDCrisisDesign.com and anywhere on social media where it's either ID Crisis or ID Crisis Design. You want to share my screen real quick, Preston? You can see the restore I did on this leopard skin.
oh, that's cool. That's really
Yeah, I know.
80s. Or not,
The guy,
yeah.
exactly. Now, the
nice.
guy that I restored this for is the guy that did all the works on the guitar that I restored for the guy that built my site.
Yeah.
For the guy.
Yeah, exactly. The guy behind the guy behind the guy. Right.
You know,
That's what
the
this is when I was like, I love doing this stuff. This is great. And then I had to,
the
clear.
next one I
code
want
it.
to do, the next
Right.
build, I want to do a ROM Space Night Flying V. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
Where it's
Yeah.
got the
Dude.
vents at the bottom of the V, and in between the pickups, it's got the red light like ROM's eyes.
Oh,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? I think
Oh,
Oh,
man.
dude, I had
I have it
Mom's
painted
face.
all in silver.
Dude, you want to do something absolutely sick, and I don't know if you want to get into this as like a little bit like next level. Look up Lumilor, Lumilor. It's
Okay.
paint that is electrically charged. It lights up like a light bulb.
Oh, you were telling
I've
me
heard about
this.
that. Yeah, I've heard about
Lumilor.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
got
you
to
can
meet
run
those
electricity
guys.
through it, and it'll just
You
glow,
run electricity. Yeah, I met these guys in Ohio. I talked to them. I had to sign a DNR. They're showing me like, yeah, we mix it up in this, and it was like a blender. They were really early on. I mean,
So high
it
tech.
was
And you use that in
way in the
comics.
beginning.
That's what I'm trying to figure. Can you put that on a comic
That's so
cover?
cool.
Or
You can put it on an airplane.
That sounds
Yeah,
that
they do
sounds
put it on
badass.
Yeah,
That's
Mr.
great.
Simetti,
Wow.
Mr.
Hey.
tell
Cimetti.
these folks where
Uh,
they can find you and your work.
You can find me on, I'm not calling it X, Twitter. Find me on Twitter. I'm going to dead name it.
It's
At
quick,
Peter
sir.
Cimetti. And you can go to kingcryptid.com, which will take you to the Indiegogo campaign, or you can go to alternativecomics.com/kingcryptid, or just go to alternativecomics.com in general and find some amazing comics created by very hardworking, talented people. And these are affordable comics. Your eyes don't deceive you. These are on newsprint, and the newsprint looks phenomenal. This is King Cryptid number
It really
1.
does.
1 to 4 are already done. Let me find you guys a sweet page. Newsprint.
Yeah.
and it smells like a comic book.
Yes,
you can
it
see
does.
this. No
Yes.
glare. You know, we got
Yeah.
a glossier cover, so a little bit of glare there, but no glare on the newsprint, and they
It's a
come out
nice
great.
satin finish on the cover. Yeah.
and some great
And they're good
creators
comics,
over
too.
there at
They're
Alternate
well-written,
too.
and
Yeah,
they're-
check
and
them
they're
out. We got
beautiful.
horror, sci-fi, action, adventure, superhero stuff, all kinds of great stuff. Check them out.
Is printing on newsprint a lost art?
Yes, it
No.
is.
I was
Well,
gonna
not
say, you
anymore.
probably had to
Fucking
find a printer that
people
knew what they
discovered
were
that
doing.
shit.
Well, we'd have
Pops,
to find a
totally
printer
fools
that knew
with
what they were
find you.
doing, but yeah, it is a lost art.
I'm gonna go last, B, because I got stuff to talk about. So
All right.
you know
I was
you
gonna
know
say,
what's up. We
yeah,
went
man,
past
shit.
Everybody
1500.
check out the fucking
Yeah,
campaign
nice.
for the Roku channel, man. Because guess what? It's an election year, and all of our fucking shit, all of our fucking YouTube channels are gonna go bye bye real fucking soon.
We're picking up a lot of new shows. We're picking up a lot of people ready to run ads. This thing's ready to go. Max is working on the preview channel that should go up in a couple days on Roku, so you can go over there, and anybody on Roku will already have some idea of what we're bringing to the table when we get there. Okay, but we got 12 days left, and we got $3,500 to go. There's a lot of stuff for fans. If you're a fan, you just want to help us get this thing built. There's a lot of stuff for fans, original art, PDFs, all kinds of stuff. There is six different ad tiers for sponsorship, and there's 4 different ad tiers for showrunners. Look, I can go into the whole thing, but I'm doing that on other people's shows for days and
It's all good.
burn out on it right now. I had a good time tonight talking about other stuff, but go check
Yeah,
out the Roku channel. Go check out the Kickstarter. This is unlike anything anybody's ever done before. Okay, get in ground floor. If you go look at my YouTube channel, Madness Comic Network, you'll see. You look at all them different playlists. This show, Matt's shows, all these shows are already part of the network, and they're going to Roku with us. Okay.
Yep.
Preston,
And we
you're
don't have to
going
watch.
Roku,
And
you don't
we're
even
not
know
going
it.
to have to watch every word that comes out of our fucking mouths. We're not going to have to worry about getting ganked off the air for showing
And
a
it's an
trailer,
untapped
which is a
audience.
commercial.
It's an untapped audience, guys. There's millions of people that view stuff on Roku. Why shouldn't we have stuff there too?
Hey,
Word.
Pops, do
Hey,
us
sir.
all a solid and remind everybody where they can get the Roku box on here. Or is it the
It's actually
Roku?
on a tier, the $60 tier on this campaign. You can get a Roku stick. We'll send you one.
It's the
Help
stick.
us out. Get this thing funded.
All right.
We'll send you a freaking Roku stick.
Do you
We'll
offer
send you-
do you offer a box or just the stick?
Yeah, we often. Well, it's the whole, the stick and the remote is what. It's not a box.
Right. Because they've gotten smaller.
It's a
Right.
stick
Like
that
that's
plugs
what-
into your TV, and then you got a
Within
remote
arm's
that
reach.
operates.
No, like I can see it. Like I've had an Amazon stick before, but this is like years ago. It would get hot, it would stop working.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think we had that problem with Roku.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. All right.
But
All
yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people are getting on board at the sponsorship level. And that's really we already have 2,500 plus videos we're going to be uploading before we launch. There's lots of content going to be there. We don't have a lot of ads. We need more ads, okay, for people to play. And we want them to play their friends' ads, okay? I want Brian's ad to play when Matt's doing his show. I want you guys to all pick each other up and play each other's ads. Like I'm going to play some ads when we finish this show right now, right?
Yep.
Because I always play people's ads because I love you guys and I want your stuff to be seen. We got new
I
stuff.
want my friend's stuff to be seen. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Rising tide lifts all boats. And
So Brian's show over there, and Brian will have he'll be able to go through our ad library and say, I want that guy's ad on my show. I want that guy's ad on my show. And we'll put those guys' ads on his show wherever he wants. If he just wants them at the end and he wants his show to run clean all the way through with no ad interruptions, we'll put the ads at the end. However you guys want your shows to run on Roku, that's how we will do it. Okay,
hell yeah.
the whole thing is user friendly. Okay, that's the whole point of this, is to make it user friendly for you guys. No thresholds for monetization, no amount of subscribers you have to reach or watch hours. Your shows, somebody watches it, you get half of the ad revenue generated by Roku the first time and every time somebody watches one of your
There's gonna be
shows.
something on there for everybody. So it's like if you don't like the horror movie club, there's gonna be something else on there.
Oh, dude, there is so much. There's so much. I mean,
I'm
the
looking
new shows
forward.
coming in. We got
I'm
a guy.
looking forward for you to send me that Roku stick, because this old Apple TV down here in the man cave isn't doing too good. So
I tell you what,
I just picked that up. So
we're really picking up people from places I didn't expect. We got a guy out of Arizona called SK Hobbies, and he's bringing his RC car building show to the network, where they do
that's awesome.
ground up RC car builds and boats and stuff, like even the 3D printing the boat hulls and everything. Right, his shows are cool. Look, I've been watching.
And the show after that is the RC car demolition derby show.
Well,
Yeah,
this dude yesterday was like just doing like long jumps and stuff, and the car's getting up in the air and it's going like this and hitting and bouncing, and it's like, but it's entertaining. Okay,
Yeah.
They do the whole build from the ground up, and then they go out and run them to death. It's freaking awesome, right?
That's bad.
So he's bringing his show in. We just picked up another backer. Thank you very much. I don't know who you are, but
It was me.
cool. Look, we got
You
ads.
gotta send me that stick.
We got comics.
I know that sounds weird, Pops. I really want your stick.
We have we got the biggest PDF bundle on any Kickstarter campaign available right now. You get 37 PDFs for $90. 37. Okay, the biggest bundle, but they're also all broken down into PDF bundles of the publisher. So you can get Brian's first trade paperback of 1 through 6 of Six Gun Gorilla. You can get the whole first trade paperback on this campaign, $30. We're not selling comics.
That's to my own horn or virtue signal here. But Pops was like, "How about issues 1 through 3?" I was like, "Fuck that! How about issues 1 through 6?"
He did that, and I
Brian,
appreciate
you don't
everybody
know how
that's
to release
donated stuff like that to help us get funded, because that's what it is. Okay, you're giving us the money to help us fund this thing, and we're going to give you whatever you want off that list in return. There's a big list of stuff. There's original art. There's sketch cards. If you buy a piece of original art, you get a PDF bundle of your choice with it. If you buy a sketch card, you get a PDF with it. There's a referral program. If you bring somebody's show to the network through this campaign, you get a free 3-month ad next year at any point. Like if you're running a campaign or whatever, we'll run the ad while your campaign's running. Whatever. Dude, look, this thing is for us, guys. We're building it for us.
Word.
We're hitting an untapped audience. There's like 2 comic shows on Roku, and they're once a week shows. We're going to drop in there on the first of the year with 3,000 different videos, 50 different playlists for them to watch on a view on demand type platform like Netflix.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, we're going to blow it up. And for those of you who don't know, Max DeVille, the guy who's developing this, he's the guy who developed the original Roku Grindhouse channel.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, it was the most successful Roku channel of its time when he got like corkscrewed. But that's a story for him to tell. It's funny because he told this story the other day, and I said, "How are we going to avoid that happening to us?" And he said, "We're going to do this." And I was like, "Okay, as long as you figured that problem out, because wouldn't do good for us to go build this and have them do the same thing to this one they did." You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. That's why you need pioneers, guys like Ken, guys like Pete, people to go out and do shit, and then
make the mistakes that everybody else can learn from.
Do shit.
And really, it was Hart and Max that really talking to them about the American Horror Channel and the fact that Max built that and so on is really how this came about. The idea to run the beta test on YouTube. I invited everybody to bring their shows to my YouTube channel. You can see who did. The playlists are all there. Okay, but that was an open invite to everybody, and those people all got in on this free. Now, if you want to get in on this and join this too, it costs a little bit, but not much. Not much in the grand scheme of things. There's no way any of us are ever going to go to Roku and get your show on there for $25. Ever. There's no way this is going to happen. This is the only time we're going to get this opportunity, guys. I mean,
Take advantage of that shit, folks. Go click on the link, find the tier. That's good for you, and back this shit because, well, what can I say? We're building something here.
Yeah,
There's
if we don't
some
do it,
killer
who else is going to do it?
Look, there's Bill Moss art. There's Jim O'Reilly art. There's Corey Barton art. There's some killer art available on this campaign. Go get it.
There's some intimidating art.
Yeah, some cool shit. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate you. Smash that like button and ring a ding ding dong the bell for notifications and subscribe and all that other happy shit. And Pops is going to see us out.
Yep.
Pete, once again, thank you so much for hanging out. We do appreciate
No problem.
you.
Thank you for having me.
And,
Good time, guys. Good time. Man.
everybody,
3 hours.
until
Damn.
next week,
I know.
peace,
Peace.
love,
Love.
and metal.
Shit.
Oh man, I wish I could find a way to better advertise Apothic Press.
Just back it already.
Whoa, Crom, what are you doing here? What's this? The Madness Roku Network. Sponsorship. 1 month of playing your 30-second ad on the network 3 times a day? Oh my gosh, for $20? And you can't beat that.
Just back it already.
All right, Crom, I'm doing it. Awesome. Hi, I'm Tanner Hurley, founder of Apothic Press. I back the Madness Roku Network, and so should you.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
I told that moron not to take out my Tchaikovsky tape. No matter, let's get started. Here we are, Nancy Moon. The last time we left our heroine, she had just joined my esteemed colleagues at level M. And the soldier who cannot stop talking, a magician with a money issues, and a vampire with a checkered past. But there are other teammates she's yet to meet. One in particular might be a little bit shocking for her. I do hope she's not allergic. Back it today, won't you? Like right meow.
The Civil War was America's bloodiest conflict. Over 500,000 died to preserve national unity. When the war ended, Confederates like Harley Brogdon headed west, shooting game for the Army and gambling. When a card game turns deadly, Harley shoots in self-defense, killing the card sharp who threw down first. Wilfred Knorr, the card sharp's wealthy father, will stop at nothing to see Harley hang. Harley flees to Cobb's Gap, an old silver mining town at the foot of the Rockies. A remarkably peaceful town, especially after dark. But the sheriff harbors a dark secret, and no one dares go into the mines anymore. Cobb's Gap is full of secrets. People speak in hushed tones of something in the mines. Something worse than their cursed sheriff. Something even the Indians fear from the deepest pits of hell. Every secret will be exposed. Bronze Star. Order your copy at bronzestarcomic.com.
Okay, who's this other guy? You gotta introduce this other guy now.
Who?
Rick. Oh.
Rick? You know what's funny about Rick? Rick is almost as much as Carissa, but he only Carissa's lunch party. You gotta get to actually.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.